Tonight, once again, we gather in search of the truth, dark, and mystery. It's the Drunk Turkey Show.
Big development today in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. According to state and local officials and court documents, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger has been arrested. He was arrested and arraigned this morning in Pennsylvania.
We have new details on what Bryan Kohberger was doing right before his arrest. Police says a tactical team burst in to arrest the Idaho murder suspect. He was in pajamas and latex gloves, stuffing trash into Ziploc bags.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
You know what to do, guys, just like every other podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT Show. First and foremost, I want to say thanks for everybody that tuned in earlier, who was got to watch the trial live of Bryan Kohberger. With my wife, Steelers fan. She was on board. She was here. So if you guys haven't checked it out, Steelers fan and Dr. Vona, they did a live reaction during the trial. I was at work, unfortunately. I tried my best to get out of it. I couldn't. And I thought I was going to have a lot more free time and be able to be more a part of it. But I honestly wasn't. And so I missed probably about 90% of the entire thing. And so what we're going to do today is I was going to watch it and then kind of give you guys my commentary on it. But I decided, you know what, it'd probably be best if I react with you guys. So you guys can have that reaction with me. Dr. Vona's going to join us in a little bit. But before we get started, we do have some very rather sad news. Let me bring this up real quick. And it's pinned in the comment section, and it's in the description. Jaime's cousin has tragically passed away, one of his cousins. Jaime, former co-host of the show. His cousin, very young man in his 20s, passed away, was on a boat and was out hanging out with some friends and jumped into the water and never resurfaced. And so there's donations that are going out, and I wanted to just kind of spread the word. It says, this is for Julio. It is with unimaginable heartbreak that we share the passing of our beloved Julio, cherished son, brother, and grandson, who left us far too soon. He was kind-hearted, full of life, and loved deeply by all who knew him. And so they are sharing the GoFundMe to help with funeral and memorial service costs, helping the family cover bills and living expenses while they process the loss and easing the financial strain as we focus on healing and honoring Julio's memory. And there's a little short thing here. It says, he is not someone you can replace. Friends, remember Julio Aguilar after his body was recovered from Lake Texoma. Julio's body was recovered from Lake Texoma Monday morning. Saturday evening, Julio Aguilar disappeared after jumping off a boat into the water in Lake Texoma and never resurfaced. Sudden loss is leaving family and friends with heavy hearts. So you guys find it in your heart. If you guys want to, anything, send out their way. We'd be truly appreciative. But yeah, that was Jaime's little cousin. And so thoughts and prayers to his family through this time. All right. So what we're going to talk about now is we're going to go into the trial. But before we do so, I want to talk a little bit about the press conference that happened afterwards. So I did watch the press conference. I took down everything that they had said. And I kind of wanted to explain instead of just watching the press conference with you guys and pausing it and doing all those type of things. So I wanted to expedite the process, because I'll be honest, we're going to watch this entire hearing. It's probably going to take a couple hours. So let's do this. So they did a Q&A, and one of the first questions I was asked is, why didn't they ask Bryan Kohberger to explain why he did what he did? And the response basically was that they said that there wasn't the law that was going to enforce them, and obviously they knew what the response was going to be from the media. It's like, well, just because it's not in the law books that you have to ask him these things, you could have. And Thompson goes into it saying we could have, but they chose not to because they couldn't believe, or they wouldn't be able to believe anything that he was going to say was going to be the truth. Anything that he would have said would have been for his own enjoyment, those type of things. And so they opted not to do that. That was what their goal was for that. So I think that you probably would have wanted to ask the family members if they wanted to hear some of the details there, and maybe take their consideration into that. I know some of them may not have wanted to hear. I feel, from what I understand, I don't think all the families were there at the sentencing. And so you can choose to turn away. You can't choose, when somebody takes, you can choose to turn away. You can choose to mute, if you don't want to hear it. But if you're not being able to hear it, if you're a family member who wants this information, maybe perhaps one of the reasons why they want this information through this process is so that they already know what Bryan Kohberger is going to say. So maybe perhaps puts a dent in any profits that his family may get from writing that story, because now nobody knows what Bryan Kohberger would have said, right? And it's going to come out, in my opinion, it's going to come out eventually. And where it comes out of is going to be very profitable. Maybe perhaps by forcing him to say what that would have been, puts a dent in that. Now that's not really a possibility. And so they asked him, they said that they wouldn't have known if he was going to say the truth. They don't know where the murder weapon was. They did use soil samples. They searched through the ground and underwater. So they did some sort of search through probably the Snake River out there near Clarkson, and they couldn't find anything. They didn't find anything. They have no idea whatsoever what he did with that knife. They talked about Kaylee's injuries, and they asked also why Bryan Kohberger didn't have any blood in the vehicle. It seems like they were stumped by that. They would have expected it, but the answer they kind of gave was something to the effect that sometimes people get stabbed a lot, and they don't, the person that's doing the stabbing doesn't get covered in blood. And I thought that to be maybe a little bit of a weak answer. Now, understandably, if they don't have the evidence, right, if they don't have the clothing and stuff like that inside of a bag, then they can't, it's speculation that he put something on, like the jumpsuit, and then took it off, or that he put something over his clothing. But they don't know. They have no idea how. And the only response was that he may have not gotten covered. I don't believe that to be true. I believe he did get covered. I think he used some sort of methods to obviously change or dispose of the clothing before he entered his car to limit the amount of blood and DNA that was could have been left in the vehicle. They asked about psychological tests that were done, and they stated that none played a role in why they did the plea as far as what the psychological tests were, and they don't believe that they would have found an answer as to a motive as in those psychological tests either. They monitored Bryan Kohberger's phone usage and communications, and they had nothing of evidentiary value from his prison calls. There's no social media link between the victims and the survivors and Bryan Kohberger. They also talked about Papa Rogers and basically stated that Bryan Kohberger was not Papa Roger, which, I probably should have stuck with my guns initially. My first initial thought for the longest time was that Papa Roger and Bryan Kohberger were not the same. And my main reasons behind it were, it starts off with Bryan Kohberger's ability to have a little bit of discipline not to go back to the crime scene. Visiting the crime scene when you live so close to it, and from all accounts, based on the book, when it talks to certain people as far as that had interactions with Bryan Kohberger proceeding the murders, it seems like he was like on cloud nine. He was just super happy and all those other things. Yet he still had the discipline not to go back to the crime scene. And so I had often said, and I said this a long time ago, and I kind of started thinking to myself, well, he made some dumb mistakes. Maybe he made other dumb mistakes. But I had said, if he had that discipline not to go back to Moscow, not to revisit the crime scene, the only time that he went back was at 9 a.m. And that was before media had any attention on the house and before the bodies were discovered. And law enforcement was in on the fact that there was a quadruple homicide at the 1122 King Road residence. I often thought maybe the reason why he was able to go back there comfortably was because he had knowledge, whether it be from an app. I think Broadcastify, I think is what it used to be called, or it is called at the time of the murders. They broadcasted 911 on dispatch on there, and from what I understand, it was no longer after the fact, but those things were relevant then. So to me, hold on, with Papa Rogers, I just felt like that would be a way of kind of a modern way of inserting yourself into the crime, right? And also following the victims online on social media. I know there was some rumors and speculation out there where it came down to that he was saying hello or hey. I never bought into those. I did think that maybe perhaps after the murders he followed them, and there was going to be some sort of trace of that he was following the victims on social media. I did think that was possible because him following the victims after the murders would have been one of many, many tens of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that decided to follow them on social media after the murders had occurred. And him living so close, being in criminal justice, it's probably not going to be a big red flag, so to speak, if somebody's looking at it from the outside, looking in, just kind of surface level, looking at the contacts on social media. So, my biggest question has and always was, all right, I think he may have been following them, but the biggest question is, when was he following them? Now, it seems like they couldn't find that, but they go on to say that Bryan Kohberger had put in software that worked relatively effectively to delete much of his history and everything else that he had in between. And so his phone was continually wiped out. Now, I had gotten word that he had some sort of app on his phone that was still factory resetting his phone and doing things after his arrest. And, they didn't catch on to that, and they felt that they lost some evidence. But that was because some of the apps and the things that he had put on his phone. I had mentioned this before. Well, it sounds like he put in some apps. He had some things that were deleting things for him. That's what was said here in the press conference. And so that tells me that there may have been some sort of evidence at one point of him following, maybe not like officially following, like hitting the follow button on Instagram, but watching, visiting their page, looking at their pictures and those type of things. Those things may have possibly been a thing at some point, but they couldn't find it there. Now, when it comes to Papa Rogers, because I know some people might say, well, hey, maybe he was Papa Roger, but those things got deleted. I doubt it, because I'm not sure how much access Bryan Kohberger would have had with Facebook to have deleted and made sure that that doesn't come back to him in some form or fashion. Unless he sort of other device or something of that nature, then maybe possibly maybe it's on that, and we just don't know, and he outsmarted everybody, but it don't sound like he was Papa Roger. Alrighty. There are some new documents that they did drop. They talked about dropping documents. I've seen them. We're going to go through those documents in the next few days. But they do talk about Kaylee's injuries, and I will say they are pretty graphic. It says that her face was unrecognizable. Let's see. They have no motive, and they go into saying they don't need one. And then Bill Thompson says jurors can follow the law, and they would know that the law says that you don't require a motive. And I think that's a very old school way of thinking. I think, yeah, maybe perhaps back in the day when there was a lot of trust there between the public and law enforcement and things of that nature. I'm not saying there's not a lot of trust now, but I would say due to things like TV, CSI and stuff like that, I think the bar has been raised as far as what it is that you need to get a conviction. there's some other cases that had a lot of evidence in it, and yet the outcome went against what the evidence was for whatever reason. And so in today's day and age, especially because of those things and because of where the bar is raised, I think this is a naive way of thinking for the prosecution to say, oh, you know what? We don't need a motive. We don't need to present the possibility of what the motive was, who the target was, why they targeted the house, why they targeted anybody here and all. We don't need any of that. We're just going to say, hey, that's not part of the element of the crime. And the jury's going to understand that and look past that. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's accurate in today's day and age. And I feel that that was a very naive train of thought, in my opinion. All right, so let's see. He talked hold on. So they talked about Bryan Kohberger, and they asked, did he say anything during his arrest? And he's apparently had some small talk. And the Payne and the FBI officers that were assigned to this case did assist Payne. They showed up there in Pennsylvania, and that Bryan Kohberger kind of figured out things when they told him that they were from Idaho. So he kind of figured out what it is that they were there for, that they were Idaho detectives, which kind of goes back to the book where he goes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what murders. I'm 10 miles from this. And so kind of a little bit of a slip there, right? Like, hey, I'm a Moscow police detective. Do you know why we're here? Yeah, of course I know why you're here. I'm 10 miles away from that. So, oh, okay. Like, there could have been a lot of other things that have occurred in Moscow that they may want to talk to him about, but he was aware of it. Now, it's obvious that they were homicide detectives, and it's probably obvious what they're there for. But you would still think if somebody who hadn't committed the crime would be like, I don't know why you want to talk to me, instead of, yeah, I know exactly why you're here. And I think that was the slip, and I think he realized he did it, and that's why he's like, I want to talk to a lawyer fairly quickly without getting any real information from law enforcement about what they had on him. And the reason I say that is because he was extremely motivated to get back to Idaho, so that way he can see the probable cause affidavit, so he can see what it is that they had on him. LeBar, who was interviewed in the Idaho 4 book that we just read, referenced how motivated that Bryan Kohberger was to get back so that he could see what they had on him, and that he was very candid with him about that. My thoughts are that he was in that interview. He was going to try to see what it is that they had on him, and he really knew that he made a slip right away, and then he lawyered up. All righty. Sorry about that. Got to go to the next page. They asked about a possible second weapon. They said it's possible, but they don't believe there would have been one. They believe that it was just a K-bar knife. They have first, I know that the Goncalves family had spoken after the fact, or maybe it was during their hearing. I don't know. I haven't heard either one of them. Well, you know what? I'm lying. I heard the one outside. I heard the press conference outside. I heard what Steve's son had to say. But I also heard somewhere that there was the question of a second weapon. Now, I personally think that it's not a second weapon. I think it's the same weapon used in two different manners, meaning stabbing and then using the bottom end as a blunt force object, especially if you're like, trying to reach over somebody to get to the other person. All right. So let me know when you're ready there, doctor. Just give me the thumbs up. All right. Give me the thumbs up when you're ready. Let's see. They said that Bryan Kohberger's family did not give them any tips or evidentiary items, from the family. So the Moscow Police Department didn't receive any tips. I don't know if that means the FBI didn't receive a tips. I heard that the FBI had a tip from Bryan Kohberger's sister, but if that ends up not being the case, then that ends up not being the case. You know what I mean? But it sounds like they did talk. They just didn't hand over any evidentiary items. Obviously, what they probably talked about more than anything was the K-bar knife, the purchase of it. When was it that he may have bought it? They would have had to have had some sort of idea. And in the documents, it alludes to the family, that it was purchased on the family account. So it being purchased on the family account kind of leads you to believe that that was what they told them. And so they didn't actually give them any items of evidentiary value. They did give them information. Let's see. They have no idea why Bryan Kohberger chose to plea. They asked about the container that Dylan may have had. They said they don't know if it was a container. They just said that Dylan said that he had something in his hand. He used software to delete things off his phone. We already talked about that. They had no worries or concerns about the IGG. They believe that they still would have found him had it not been, had they not found the IGG through the vehicle. They don't know how long it would have taken, but they would have found him through the vehicle. Let's see. I'm not too certain about that one. I think it would have taken a very, very long time. It sounds like they were looking at the wrong year, and they would have crossed out all those vehicles before they opened it up. But that's what their claim was, is they would eventually opened it up and then found the 2015, in the area. And some of the stuff would have still existed. The fact that his phone was off during the times of the murders. His Reddit stuff would have still existed. I mean, everything would have existed as still, and they would have had the DNA to have tested against him, and so he would have been found regardless. Let's see. They did say that Kohberger had to plead guilty. That one of the aspects of this was that he had to plead guilty of murder. I guess maybe not make a plea or not plead guilty or just stay silent, I think is what they were hoping for. Because it took them a while to get back to them on that Bryan Kohberger was going to plead actually guilty. Now, I wonder if that was to appease his mother. If they were going to try to, if he was going to say, all right, I'll take responsibility, but I don't want to plead guilty, so to speak. Dr. Vaughn, are you good to go? I'm not sure. Yes. All right. So welcome, everybody. Dr. Vona, how's it going?
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. It's good to see you. Thank you for being on earlier. I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm curious. Apparently the defense had reached out and they wanted to talk with, they wanted to do a plea, and they talked about a plea. One of the stipulations was that Bryan Kohberger had to plead guilty. It makes me think that maybe perhaps he was willing to take responsibility, but wasn't necessarily wanting to plead guilty per se. What do you think about that? I mean, if that ended up being the case, I think maybe it was to appease his mom. What do you think?
I think it was to take back the narrative again and to because I think he was feeling out of control because the trial was about to come up. I'm sure that he might have made his mom feel like she had something to do with it, but I think that would be more for things like I need you for commissary and stuff, if you want me to be honest.
Maybe you make a point there. Let's see. Real quick, I'm just kind of outlining some of the things that were in the press conference. They said that his education was all, they went through his past. There was no criminal history, no history of violence, no history of any predisposition that would have evidence to believe that he would do this. They said there was no evidence of a serial killer in the making. I found that interesting when Bill Thompson said that, because it sounded like there was a lot of other girls who had their pictures on Bryan Kohberger's phone. A lot of these girls were in the Pullman, Washington, Moscow, Idaho area, and it sounds like he was in the market for another K-bar knife, and that he was still continuing his search on Ted Bundy, to include cosplaying as Ted Bundy, putting on the sweatshirt. Do you think that's what do you think about his response when we know what else he had, as far as him possibly not being the serial killer in the making?
I think the prosecutor should stay the prosecutor and leave that stuff up to people like psychologists, right? Because I think one of the amazing things about someone who might be a serial killer in the making is that you wouldn't recognize that they're a serial killer in the making, because they're a master at masking that behavior. They know what's socially acceptable and what's not. So they're antisocial is anti-society. So they know what's acceptable and what's not. It's more about whether they're going to abide by that or not, or whether they think that they have to.
What do you think about the fact that they were unwilling to ask him what, why and what he did with the weapon? Because, I mean, there's, Steve spoke afterwards and he said, yeah, I understand that. I understand, you can't trust what he says, but there could be some things that he can say that you can prove, like where's the knife, where's the kill kit, those type of things. What do you think about that? The fact that they didn't even want to ask those type of questions.
So I had to think about this because I thought about the same thing. And then I thought, okay, but why would you then continue? The only thing I could think of is that they had to know that he was going to be reluctant to give up that information. So then what if they put like an ultimatum out there, like it's this or that, and then he doesn't go, you know what I mean? So like if the prosecutor really wanted to make a deal, he could have just thought, and didn't the judge say something about not being ethically able to ask them? So maybe there's just something within the law that they can't ask. I don't know. Or not the law, like within their ethics. I don't know
I'm
what's
not
not
sure.
ethical about that, but I remember him saying something about ethics. I don't know if someone in chat remembers.
I'm not familiar with what was said. I've only seen about 15 minutes of the trial.
Oh, wait, let me see.
I withheld myself from watching it so that I could react it with you guys.
Oh, I can't wait.
The next thing that they said was there was no connection to Bryan Kohberger to the Mad Greek. Not that he was never there, but in all their interviews and in their documents, they never had any connection that pointed him at the Mad Greek. They have no idea how or why Bryan Kohberger chose his victims. And the last thing they said there was nothing to show planning, nothing to show he bought the knife for the purpose of the murders. So they have no idea when he decided that he was going to do this. They have no idea if he was when he purchased the K-bar knife, if that had something to do with him planning the murders, or if he just purchased it and then he had it and that was just because he had it with him and something else happened and that's why he committed the murders.
But didn't
These
he
are
have a
some
gun
pretty big
too?
questions. He did have a gun.
So like I just feel like you buy a knife or I don't know, it's like to me it's not like equal. Like I feel like with a gun it's like easier to shoot someone than it is to stab someone that's very personal and up close. So I feel like if you're buying a knife for hunting, that's one thing, but if you're buying a knife for protection, like a K-bar knife, not like a pocket knife, but like a K-bar knife, then my thing is if you have a gun and a knife, like would you really go for the knife first? Like to me I just feel like I don't know. There had to be more behind the knife thing, in my opinion.
I mean, it's personable, it's
Very.
it's very personable. And speaking of personable, so this is the beginning of the trial. This is the sentencing hearing. And a lot of people are pointing out that this is one of the pictures that they had. And I don't know if you had seen this.
That was crazy. The heart. What the hell is that?
A black heart drawn over some picture. No idea what the picture is.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, some people are speculating that it could be this picture. What do you think that is? If he blacked them out in a black heart.
Wait, put the
I mean,
picture
look
up
at
again.
you have this. You have this up here, some purple, some pink. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, there's the staircase. You see the staircase here? Could that be the staircase? No.
Yes.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
It goes all the way to the top. This one doesn't go all the way to the top. The staircase is blocked by this. So
Could it be
maybe.
her head?
I don't know. It could be, but I don't know what picture it is.
So creepy. Either way, so let's say it's not a picture of anything. Like, let's just say that was a piece of construction paper. Why is he drawing a black heart?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter, I mean, the picture obviously is relevant, but either way, I think that it's just strange that he has a drawn black heart in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, is that saying something else? Like, he has a black heart?
Well, I mean, to me, if it's the victims, if it's a picture of the victims, this is like, to me, a sign of possession. These are mine. I own them. These are my loves, my victims.
That's messed up.
You get what
You're
I'm saying?
probably right. Yeah,
That's kind of the way I see it. If it's the victims,
that looks like it to me. What do people in the chat think? I can't see it.
some people are saying it's a black heart. Somebody saying a black heart stretching.
I definitely see the black heart.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, he just has it out like this. So what does that tell you? I mean, he knows that it's going to be on camera. It's the one and only thing on the top of the page. What is he saying? This has to be a message.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's literally like a black heart. But you're right, because he has to know, because people, if you have a laptop, people try to zoom in to see what's on the laptop type thing. So he had to know. And look how it's just sitting there. Like, it's not like he's trying to hide it. Nothing.
And look,
That's
he
like
bordered it.
disrespectful.
He bordered it around. I'm assuming he bordered it
Yeah, that's what it looks
with
like.
a black. Like, so it's a trapped heart. I think if it's a picture of the victims, I'm not saying if it's the victims, but if it is the victims, I think this is definitely.
Trapped heart, that's actually that's pretty insightful. It could
I think
be.
that's his way of saying these are my people, these are my souls. You know, I think there's been other offenders like this who have thought that way, that especially when they visit like the location where they buried or discarded the bodies, that's I can't remember who
Or
it
the
was.
kill kit. Even like the knives and stuff, they go back and they like relive it.
Yeah. Somebody saying, could it be the back of the house? If this is a heart over the house, if this is a picture of the home, what is that reference to you?
It would say both things. That it would, if this is really like connected, if that's a picture or anything connected to the victims, then that says a lot to me about the black heart over it. But again, even if there was no picture underneath, the fact that, like, if you have a pen, you could have drew anything. Like, why a black heart?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, even if, but I do think that there's relevance with the picture underneath. But let's just say somebody's watching this and they're like, oh, well, they're trying to reach. Like, what if it's not? So let's just say it isn't. Who just draws a black heart? Like, he could have drew a star. He could have drew a person. Like, there's so many things he could have drawn. He could have just drawn a bunch of scribbles like most of us do. So why the big black heart? And if you look at it, it's very symmetrical.
It is. And it's, I mean, it looks like he was putting a lot of force down.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I'm surprised he even has that pen. I know for Stephen Stearns, they had to have an entire hearing on a pen. So I'm surprised that it was just so willy-nilly.
And look at his attorney just chilling next to it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, and she had a smile the whole time. What do you say?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird to me, you know? This is weird. But alrighty, without further ado, let's get into it. I want to try something. Am I still echoing? Because I know it's echoing a little bit, so I
don't hear anything.
All right, I don't hear it anymore either. It might have been just a moment. So let's get this thing started.
Your Honor, the first, and we're taking these in the order, victim impact statements in the order that the charges were listed in the indictment. The first charge being burglary. So we will have Bethany Funke's statement, and she has asked that her friend Emily Allant read that statement.
All right, any objection to that? All right, very well.
I do have this a little bit sped up, guys, but not by a lot. If it's too fast, let me know.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be speaking on behalf of Bethany, and so, yeah, here it reads. My name is Bethany Funke, and I was roommates with Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. I not only lost some of my best friends, but I also lost a sister. Never in a million years would I have thought that something like this would have happened to my closest friends. I thought that we were going to wake up and go upstairs, see them, and tell them how they had scared us, and that they were going to tease us about how we were constantly scaredy cats. I make jokes about it as we would go to Taco Bell like always. But sadly, that is not what happened and what turned out to be my worst nightmare. When I first woke up that morning, I had no idea what happened. I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache. So I called my dad, who was a dentist, and he asked what I should do. He told me to take Advil, so I did, and I went back to sleep. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened.
I wonder if she had the Advil in her room. You know, because it's an interesting conversation. So I've not heard this. So she calls her dad, who's a dentist. She has a toothache, and he tells her to take Advil. I mean, she could have it in her room, you know, but this is sad. This is hard.
I didn't realize I was muted. This is Bethany, so she probably had it in her room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would think.
And this is Emily, who is speaking on behalf of Bethany, but yeah, pain medication in her room. So this is what she called her dad about. And a lot of people were speculating what it was that she called her dad for. You know, she called her dad to talk about the toothache. You know, I think
a lot of things that get cleared up.
Yeah, I think that's, to me, it's just another reasoning behind they didn't really know what happened. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it is.
And Steve even called it. He said that they would play jokes all the time.
Yeah. Well, somebody had broke into the friend's car next door and threw all the panties and stuff in the street. I don't know if you remember that. And so, no, those things happen. But yeah, it's not so odd to have the medicine in the room. But yeah, no, you're right.
No, I of course would have called 911 right away. I still carry so much regret and guilt for not knowing what had happened and not calling right away, even though I understand it wouldn't have changed anything, not even if the paramedics had been right outside the door. I was so frantic that morning and scared to death, not knowing what had happened. And when I made the 911 call, I couldn't even get out the words. And from then on, I don't remember a thing. It was like my brain wiped that whole memory. That was the worst day of my life. And I know it always will be.
Yeah, it's so sad. That's hard.
While I was still in shock, trying to process the fact that my friends were truly gone, I had been attacked by the public. I was grieving, numb, and unsure of what had happened was even real. And at the same time, I was getting flooded with death threats and hateful messages from people who did not know me at all or know the dynamic of our friendship. Social media made it so much worse, and strangers made up stories to entertain themselves. The media harassed not just me, but also my family. People showed up at our house. They called my phone, my parents' phones, other family members' phones, and we were chased while I was still trying to survive emotionally and grieve the loss of my friends. I hated and still hate that they are gone, but for some reason, I am still here and I got to live. I still think about this every day. Why me?
That's survivor's guilt. That's just going through.
1,000%, and PTSD probably.
Yeah, a lot of PTSD, survivor's guilt. You know, I don't see any emotion on Bryan Kohberger's face.
None.
No,
He looks
not
bored
now.
in some instances. He looks bored. It's unbelievable.
Oh. It's just one note. I mean, what do you think about him wearing orange?
I think it's
fitting.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, he should have been wearing that this entire time. To be honest with you.
Why did I get to live and not them? For the longest time, I could not even look at their families without feeling sick with guilt. I did not know what to say or what to do. I was terrified that my presence just made their pain worse. And I was still here when their kid, their siblings, and their friends, their loved ones should have been here instead. After everything happened, I was afraid to go into my own backyard or alone in my house. I was scared that the person who did this would come for me next. I was always scared that the media would try to catch me at any moment of any day, even when I was just walking around my house. I made my parents close all the blinds during the day so no one could see me even in the slightest chance. I barely left the house, and when I did, I made sure I was never alone. I slept in my parents' room for almost a year. I made them double lock every door, set an alarm, and still check everywhere in the room just in case someone was hiding. And I still check my room every night before, and I double lock it. I have not slept through a single night since this happened. I constantly wake up in panics, terrified. Someone is breaking in, or someone is here to hurt me, or I'm about to lose someone else that I love. The fear never really leaves. For a long time, I could barely get out of bed, but one day I realized I have to live for them. They did not get the chance to keep living, but I do, and I will not take that for granted. So now every day I remind myself to live for them, and everything I do it with them in mind. I am still scared to go out in public, but I force myself to do things because I know that they would want me to keep living my life to the fullest. I am beyond blessed to still be here, and I refuse to take that for granted when they did not get a chance. Our house was not just a house, it was a home. It was where we laughed till we couldn't breathe, make meals, did crafts, binge watch reality shows, played games, and spent lazy days on the couch. It was movie nights, wine nights, morning debriefs, pranks, hot chocolate, cookies, and warmth. I will cherish those memories forever, and I will not let what happened erase how special our home was or how much those memories meant to me. Now, I would like to share some bits and pieces of who they were as people and some of the memories that we shared. One of my favorite memories was Halloween, and we all went to Sigma Chi. But instead of partying, we just sat in an apartment, talking and laughing all night long. I do not think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. We did not care about the party. We were just happy to be with each other. Xana was 1 in a million. She was the life of the party.
He's kind of nodding. I noticed, so I only saw like bits of it earlier, and I kind of noticed he was nodding throughout some parts. What do you think he's doing? Do you think he's agreeing? Do you think what is it do you think the nodding is?
So I don't know. So, okay. So I was thinking about this too. And I noticed him nodding throughout. And I noticed that he nods on like certain things. So it's not even because at first I was like, I know with ADHD and autism and stuff, like if like, let's just say that people could like sway back and forth. But I don't feel like it's that because he's not doing it the entire time. So when he does do this, I feel like it's a micro expression where I don't even know that he's aware that he's doing it. And even if he stops himself, it's like he already did it type thing. But you'll see it throughout and it gets even creepier.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. You know, I've noticed that already. That he just started nodding when she said Xana was the life of the party. He started to nod. It's like, huh. Yeah. And you know what I just realized too? So these were young people, right? They go out and drink, you get a hangover, you want your Advil and your stuff next to you. So yeah, completely normal to have the Advil in the same room before anybody thinks anything weird about that. I know I brought it up. It just kind of, when I heard it, I was like, but yeah, no, completely. I used to do that when I was a younger man, and I used to go out. I'd have the Advil and the water pretty close to me.
I agree.
All right, let's continue.
But she was also the kindest and funniest person I knew. Everyone loved her because she made everyone feel so loved. She was just someone you always wanted to be around, no matter the circumstance. One of my favorite days with Xana was when she laid on the couch, when we laid on the couch together all day watching movies and snacking. Or when she, Maddie, and I would go and get margaritas, chips, and salsa. She would also light up a room with her presence alone. Kaylee had the most beautiful, radiant smile, and she was so kind, but also one of the funniest people I've ever known. She loved playing little pranks, and she always had us laughing so hard that we could not breathe. She was so full of energy and life. I really believe that she could have ruled the world if she wanted to, and she would have been America's sweetheart. Ethan was the sweetest, most genuine guy. He was always smiling and always making other people smile too. Ethan was the kind of person you wanted around. He was so kind and easy to talk to, and just so fun. And the way he cared for Xana was truly something to admire. And really was proof that storybook love.
I wish I could zoom in, but he's like doing something with his mouth.
He clenches his jaw a lot.
What is that? What does that tell you?
He'll like flare his nostrils. That it's affecting him in some way. I don't know that it's affecting him the way that it would affect any of us, but that if any of the words are getting to him, it would be the ones where in my opinion, where you would see that. Although I'm not a body language expert, so I would ask somebody else if they're in chat and they know better. Let me know if I'm wrong on that.
He's blinking hard too at certain parts where he's like really blinking.
I wonder if that's like nervousness, because there's other parts where he doesn't blink at all. It's so weird. Wait till you see his body language.
Do you think he might be not necessarily remorseful for what he did, but doesn't want his mom to hear about this?
No, I don't even think. I think if anything, it's probably more of a selfish thing. Unfortunately, I don't think he's feeling anything here except for himself. I think that you're going to see with Olivia's speech that, or her impact statement, that she gets the assignment, that all of these stories are great. And it's great for all of us to hear and for us to, humanize the victims and stuff like that. But it's not getting to him, in my opinion, emotionally. So I don't think that it's making him feel remorseful or anything. And you'll see that, like, he like lights up a little bit when they're talking about him, and then when they talk about stories about other things, he starts to look bored again. Like, you're going to see he's starting to look bored to me already.
Interesting. Well, let's see.
And true romances really do exist. It was not only obvious to me, but everyone that was around Ethan and Dana, that they were absolute soulmates. Maddie was not only one of my best friends.
Did he roll his eyes?
I'm going to have, when I get home, I'm going to have to blow it up and like look at just his face. Can you see that close? I'm on my
I wish
cell
I could
phone.
zoom in. It seems like he rolled his eyes, or maybe he's just looking around.
Guy. He was always smiling and always making other people smile too. Ethan was the kind of person you wanted around. He was so kind and easy to talk to, and just so fun. And the way he cared for Xana was truly something to admire. And really was proof that storybook love and true romances really do exist. It was not only obvious to me, but everyone that was around Ethan and Xana, that they were absolute soulmates. Maddie was not only one of my best friends, but she was the older sister I would have always wanted.
Maybe he just looks away, but he looks off to his left. And,
Yeah, it could be.
Huh.
I can't wait to blow that up later and look real good.
Yeah, he may be rolling his eyes. I'm not sure. It looks like he could be. Huh.
I just took a screenshot and I'm gonna blow it up and I'll let you know.
Like it was,
does.
it's and it was talking about true love and soulmate. Yeah. What does that say? Like he doesn't buy it. He doesn't believe in those type of things.
Well,
if that's him.
Either that or like he rolls his eyes like, yeah, okay. Or like, you know what I mean? Because he never experienced that. So if he wanted to experience it, he didn't. But then he might have. I really don't know his love story, but I don't think that he experienced the type of love that they're speaking about right here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's more about that he doesn't believe it or that he's rolling his eyes because he didn't achieve it.
Yeah. Maybe. It's at the 26 mark of this video. I'll send it to you so you can blow it up and look at it later. All right.
There was no one I looked up to or admired more than Maddie. She was truly a ray of sunshine, and everyone was drawn to her. She was so kind, loving, funny, fun, and passionate. She had the sweetest soul and wanted nothing but the best for everyone, and to love and show love to everyone. She took me under her wing and always made me feel so safe and included, and above all, loved and valued. She never failed to make me laugh or put a smile on my face. Still to this day, I'm beyond grateful that she chose me to be her sorority little, and I thank God every day that I not only got to know her, but had her as one of my best friends. Honestly, I cannot pinpoint one favorite memory with Maddie because I have so many, and this would be a very long read if I did. But if some little memories with her that I cherish is when the two of us made a nice dinner and split some wine, or when we would binge watch Jersey Shore or Summer House. When we came up with a whole dance routine on Halloween and danced and sang all night, like no one was watching. All the late night walks home from going out, and just little shopping trips and so much more. I am beyond blessed that I had the chance to know each and every one of them. They changed my life in ways I would have never put into words. I hope that they are remembered for who they are and not what happened to them, because who they are were so beautiful and they deserve to be remembered in the highest way. My heart breaks every time I go to text one of them or how badly I wish I could see and hang out with them. And then I remember I cannot. I will never be able to again. But I still talk to them in my prayers every single night, and I always will. I wish more than anything I could hug them one last time. And I wish I could tell them how much I love them. And even though I cannot, I still tell them every night. I will keep living for them as long as I am lucky enough to still be here. And they were all truly one of a kind. And they will be in our hearts forever and always.
He wanted to sway there. He went back and forth and then stopped himself. He also, when she said, I talked to them in my prayers, kind of did this thing with his eyebrows, kind of like disbelief.
I agree.
And he started to sway. What do you think that means? Like he's just whatever?
I don't know. He really looks bored. Doesn't he look bored to you?
That swaying was like, okay, can we get on with it?
Like boredom,
Next
right?
person.
Like, yes, like it's time for lunch.
Oh, what a monster.
Thank you. And please convey to Bethany my appreciation for her courage, and I hope that she heals.
Next is Dylan Mortenson. We're asking for some accommodations for Ms. Mortenson, and that she be allowed to sit in my seat.
Sure.
Oh, I didn't know Dylan talked. Oh my God.
Dylan, just take your time, all right?
Poor girl. Man, this guy looks like he don't give a care. This is sad.
Thank you, Your Honor. What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light that carried it into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell him that I love him and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who love them are just left to carry that weight forever.
Dr. Vonham, well, first and foremost, this is hard. I mean, this is incredibly sad. You know, he's kind of nodding here and kind of looking in, kind of leaning in with his head. You know, she's talking about the things he took away. I go back to the black heart on his screen. Do you think that he feels like he owns that? The things that she's talking about that were taken away. Do you think that's in it? You know, getting them in the mind of this psychopath. Do you think that's something that he?
So if you really want to get in the mind and going along that same line, could he be thinking like, I let you live? Like he's the arbiter of life here, and it's almost like what are you like you got to live. This is the thing, he wouldn't feel emotion the way that we would, so to us that sounds really effed up, but to him it's like he's the arbiter of who lives and who dies, and it's like you got to live. Like he almost looks annoyed. Yeah, he definitely does. So the answer to that is yes, because that's what I was thinking, and when you said that all falls under the same thing, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of my thought process here with what I'm seeing with him. Again, I'm not a psychologist or a doctor or body language specialist or any of those things.
You have both here to weigh in on it. So, and you do a really good job of it. So your guesses are usually right on point.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home. The people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't see the panic attacks, the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, the way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive?
Ooh. You see that? He rolled his head back. That's different. You know, what if next time I don't survive? That goes along with what you were saying, I think.
What? Which part?
So she goes, what if I don't survive? And he does this
Like
head
he's
roll.
the arbiter of. I saw it.
You know, here's the other thing. To me, I don't see disinterested with Dylan. You know, right now in this section, right now when he did this and where his head is now, it's back. Yes. But before that, he was intensely looking and listening. And I think that has a lot to me.
Yeah,
I think
that has to do with the fear, right?
I don't know if it has to do with fear. I think a big component
Not in
of
him, that he likes seeing fear in her.
that could be that, but he seemed super interested in this. To me, all of his studies that he's done, forensic psychology, criminal mind stuff, that's all been about the criminal and the crimes that they commit and why they commit the crimes. He's not had a course, in my opinion, or that something that I've seen that he's taken in how those actions by those killers impact victims and surviving victims. This is something I think is new to him, listening to what they're saying. And I don't think he's bothered by it. I think he's interested by it.
Oh, yes, I agree with that. I see what you're saying. Yes, I do agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think he's bothered by it at all. I think he's interested in it. This is a part of his studies that he's never had.
It's funny you say that. So I have like a little thing here with a note, and I wrote down how did you feel? And I'm like, wait, what is that? And I know what I wrote it down from. When she was asking questions, and she's like, sometimes I wonder, like, who do I have? And and I wrote down, like, who do you have? Like as if he was thinking that in that moment. Like, well, answer the question. Like how we've seen him do before. So that is interesting that you say that.
Yeah. I think this is. Now, when she said, could I be the next? I think that's when he's kind of like disinterested, and that's when he rolls his head back. I don't know what happens next, but up until that point, he seemed like his head was into it, like he was looking forward, he was leaning forward. He doesn't show much expression, but he was interested in what she was saying, She wanted to know what her experience was.
He was probably reliving it as she was talking. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is true. 100%. Looks like he's smiling there.
He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
He's squinted.
John, thank you so much for your courage. I appreciate it.
He like, I don't know. He just kind of did this weird face about that with the empty and powerless.
Powerless. Yes.
Like, nah.
Next, we have members of the Madison Mogen family.
Yeah, Madison.
First would be Scott Laramie.
Real quick, Daniel, before you go into Madison Mogen, I wrote down a note real quick. She says, can I just tell you? She says that. She says, can I just tell you in her dream? And she says, I can't. Do you guys remember on the 911 call when she's like, can I just tell you what happened at 4 a.m. and they don't let her?
Yeah.
That's literal PTSD.
Hmm.
Like what she's describing is PTSD. She's reliving that same feeling just in a different way in her dream. The other thing I wrote was, she says, he stole my identity, and something about being seen. You guys, back to the very beginning, my very first video, do they see me now? And I said that he now, unfortunately, has found an identity through them. So I feel like she just validated those things. What an ass.
He did make a gesture when he says, like, you know, you're powerless, and I think he even nods like, you took this, but you're not going to take my voice. And he does another gesture too. You know, when he says that, he's like, he kind of goes like that, like,
oh, with his mouth. Wait till you see he starts doing this thing with his mouth where he's like, you'll see he winds up like curling his lips a lot.
Jane C comes in with 199 saying, you can see BK's reaction so much better at 3 times speed. He's moving super slow, I guess. A couple of things real quick. He was spotted at U of I campus. He could have seen them there or at Winco's. That's a possibility. Xana was stabbed 50 times according to the Moscow documents. Yeah, they went into how many times they were stabbed. I don't know if you've seen or not, but Moscow's released a lot of documents. I've already downloaded all of them. I've gone through some of them. You know what they say about Kaylee's that are She was unrecognizable based on the injuries that she had. It's just so sad. All righty, so they're going to bring in Maddie's family. Let's hear this.
Standing by home is Karen Laramie, Madison's mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Scott Laramie. I'm Maddie Mogen's stepfather and the husband of Maddie's mother, Karen Laramie. I will read this victim impact statement on behalf of Karen and myself. Maddie was our gift of life, our purpose, and our hope. Maddie quickly became Karen's joy, identity, and purpose in life. I joined Maddie's life when she was 2.5 years old. Experience transformed me into a life of joy, love, and family. Maddie was bright, beautiful, kind, empathic. She listened carefully to others and was observant, seeing and caring about the hearts and the minds of all she encountered. She loved music and music festivals. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She excelled in school. She was an easy child to raise, almost never requiring discipline, and almost always giving us parental joy. One time Karen remembers disciplining Maddie as a little girl. Maddie responded, "You broke my heart," which of course melted ours. She had a keen wit, even at that young age. As she transitioned into teenage years, she prioritized us and extended family over many of the distractions that capture teenagers. She showered us with her presence and love at family events, barbecues, picnics, birthdays, holidays, and others. She spent countless hours with her papa, her uncle David, Aunt Nadine, and her other close family and friends. This world was a better place with her in it. As she reached adulthood, Maddie applied her studies to be a marketing professional, entering into an internship at Payne West, and started planning her professional future. As with all things, she involved Karen and myself in the joy of her journey. As she transitioned into womanhood, Karen and I continued to be astounded at this wonderful and accomplished person we had created. All parents dream of their children accomplishing more than them. We realized this dream. All we had not become, she was becoming. Karen and I are ordinary people, but we lived extraordinary lives because we had Maddie. Maddie was taken senselessly and brutally in a sudden act of evil. She was taken along with the young, promising, and bright lives of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. First, we felt disbelief. Next, we felt disorientation. Then we felt grief overcome us. Our grief is compounded even more for the Goncalves, Kernodle, and Chapin families. We speak of hope and healing, and we do have hope and some healing. But the vast emotional wound will never fully heal. Since Maddie's loss, there's emptiness in our hearts, home, and family, an endless void. After losing her mother in a car crash, Karen took to grieve. Karen took years to grieve and recover. The feeling that her life with Maddie and they was perfect helped her to start to heal. Now, this is no longer perfect. After Maddie's loss, Karen felt like she was spinning out emotionally collapsing into anxiety and depression. She sometimes asks, "How am I supposed to go on when I've lost my favorite person in the world?" I felt the same, and we continue to struggle. The loss of Maddie has impacted so many beyond our family. Her second family is her sorority sisters who grieve alongside us. She has so many close friends who suffer from her loss. We will continue to be, her loss will continue to be felt by the Vandal community, including Vandal Solutions on campus, where she volunteered her time for others. It helps us to know Maddie is in heaven now, freed from the trials of this earth. We, however, continue to live on without the grace and support of her presence. We will grow old without our only child, our bright, beautiful friend and daughter. In the end, there are no words that can accurately capture the devastation of losing Maddie. We will endure and we will go on. For Maddie, we will not let our grief consume us. For Maddie, we will continue to love and care for our family and friends, including the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. We will remain united with them. We can only hope that others out there suffering similar losses can look to us and see that we can overcome hatred, darkness, and evil. We know the law allows us to comment on the defendant and his sentence. As for his sentence, we support the plea agreement. Society needs to be protected against this evil. As for the defendant, we will not waste words, nor will we fall into hatred and bitterness. Evil has many faces, and we now know this, but evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We are taking back our lives. We will turn our time, talents, and attention to hope, healing, and helping others, and to the future. We invite all those who have suffered with us on this to join us in our journey. We can make this world a better place. We can move on from tragedy. Adversity will visit us, evil will visit us, but we will overcome. We can and will endure. Karen and I express our gratitude to Your Honor and to the prosecution team for allowing us the opportunity to make this statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your courage, and I am so sorry for your loss. God bless
Your
you.
Honor.
He's shaking his head. He watch this. When the judge is saying,
Do
"Thank
you
you
see
for
him
your
all
courage."
crouched over in that one?
Yeah.
Did you see him like crouched down on this one?
I did. This is a lot of people believe that Maddie was the target. I want to say Natalie in Sunshine comes in with $9.99. I'd love to hear Ann Taylor's side of the past 2.5 years. Wonder how she feels now. I mean, there are certain things that I don't like that she did. You know, the whole he's innocent, this whole, like some of the outlandish crap, right? But she had a job to do, and I understand that she had a job to do and those type of things. I personally think there was some stuff there that she kind of went a little bit overboard with. But you know, I don't know if she can ever answer that question. I don't know legally if she can answer it either.
I don't think so.
All right, watch this. When the judge says, you know, thank you, look at his reaction.
But we will overcome. We can and will endure. Karen and I express our gratitude to Your Honor and to the prosecution team for allowing us the opportunity to make this statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your courage, and I am so sorry for your loss. God bless
Your
you.
Honor.
See, that's a more like he's been nodding. That was a nod.
Almost like he swallowed.
Could be.
But no, like a nod. I do agree that he definitely makes more movement there than he has.
Yeah. Could be.
Your Honor, this is Leander James. He's the attorney for the Mogen family and victim advocate. He'll be reading a statement for Karen Laramie.
He's shaking
May
his
it please
head
the
there.
court, counsel. My name is Leander James. I am the pro bono counsel for Karen and Scott Laramie. Karen has asked me to read the statement into the record. I thank my husband, Scott, for his statement, his courage, and his unending love and support during this dark time. While words are inadequate to capture the impact of this horrific crime on our family, he expressed it as best anyone could. For Maddie's sake, I will add my supplement statement that incorporates additional impact in the context of my extended family. I am grateful to Maddie's great uncle, Bryan Kohberger, for assisting me with the difficult task of putting our pain into words. For me and my extended family, Maddie was our hope and our light. Her beauty, both outside and in, shone its light upon everyone with whom she came in contact. Her beauty, she carried that hope and light into the future for our entire family. We have memories of our Maddie and grief and pain at her being taken from our presence. Any one of us would have given our own light to have been outshone by hers. We now look to our Creator to know that her light continues where we look to see her in His presence. Those who commit evil for their own twisted gains and purposes truly defile the efforts and sacrifices of mothers, fathers, families, teachers, clergy, public servants, service members, and all those who commit themselves to the greater good, freedoms, and the future light of our nation. Condemnation falls heavily upon those who squandered the lives of our future hopes and dreams. Some may offer forgiveness for what the defendant has done. However, we cannot at this time, or perhaps ever, nor will we ask for mercy for what he has done. His acts are too heinous. The agony and grief he has caused, too great. But we will waste no further words or thoughts on him. For Maddie's sake, we will move on. We will do our best to carry Maddie's light into this world and make it a better place. I thank the court and the prosecution for allowing me the opportunity to make my statement. And I thank all and the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Larmy. Appreciate it.
He's definitely staring them leave.
Next is Ben Mogen, the father of Maddie Mogen.
This is sad.
Actually, Your Honor, it'll be Kim Cheeley, the grandmother of Maddie Mogen.
My name is Kim Cheeley. I was Maddie Mogen's paternal grandmother, as Ben Mogen, her father, is my son. I'm here today with my sister Lori Cheeley, Maddie's great aunt, and my son Ben Mogen, and my daughter-in-law Corey Hatrock. I'd like to begin by thanking a number of people involved in bringing this case to closure. In my daughter's words, the plea deal the prosecution team reached this month is one that punishes the perpetrator of this horrendous crime, protects the public from further harm, and allows all of us who knew and loved these kids the time to grieve without the anxiety of the long and gruesome trial, the years of appeals, and potential for mistrials along the way. My family and I are so grateful to Bill Thompson and his prosecution team for their dedication and painstaking work that forced the perpetrator to admit his guilt. We want to thank the Idaho State Police, the Moscow Police Department, the FBI, and Judge Hippler. We'd also like to thank the University of Idaho officials who have treated the families of the victims with such dignity and kindness, and who have honored the 4 victims beautifully. Maddie was my first grandchild, so when she was born, all her grandparents had the distinct pleasure of deciding what we'd like to be called. I chose Nana, pretty original. But when Maddie was about 1.5 years old, her papa, Ben's dad, and I were planning to visit the new little family in Oregon. Maddie didn't have an extensive vocabulary at the time, but for some unknown reason, she called bananas ba-deedle-deedles. When Karen and Ben told her Nana was coming to visit, she figured I say deedle-deedle for that word. So I became deedle-deedle, shortened to Deedle when she was about 6 or 7, and I was Deedle all her life. I don't think her stepdad, Scotty, ever knew my given name was Kim. Maddie's and my birthdays were one day apart, and a couple years before she was killed, she gave me this necklace with Deedle and Maddie engraved on it. And
Okay, so no emotion, even when there's some positive things. People are laughing in the courtroom based on the words that that Maddie used to call her Deedle. He doesn't. He looks kind of agitated in certain parts.
Well, he's disinterested here because this is about everybody but him.
That's true. He kind of
like,
did
get
lean
back
in
to
a
the
little
part
bit with the
about me.
necklace thing.
Mm.
And she goes, "This is a necklace." Kind of leaned in a little bit, but that could be nothing. That could be something. Could be nothing. But yeah, no emotion. Even when things are a little bit lighter.
No, because it's not about him.
That's true. That's true. Great. Good answer.
added an angel wing, and it's one of my treasured possessions. I also got an angel wing tattoo. Never thought I'd see the day, but along with many members of our family, replicating the one that Maddie and her sorority sisters had, I wanted mine where I could see and touch it often. From preschool through grade school, I stopped teaching piano lessons early on Wednesdays and picked Maddie up for bubble baths, brownies, and books. It was our special time together, and she went home those nights in her jammies with a pan of warm brownies for her family. Although Karen and Scotty raised Maddie and did such a lovely job of parenting, we Mogens were lucky to have her for holidays and many other family gatherings. We'll always have our treasured memories of Maddie growing up in our big extended cooperative family. And I thank Karen and Scotty Laramie for being so generous and open and sharing Maddie with her Mogen side of the family. When the 4 kids were murdered, the foundation fell out of our world.
I'm gonna replay that, and I want to, because this is one thing that I did notice during the live. This is one of the things I saw. I saw this part. That's a little bit too far. When she said when the 4 kids were murdered, look at his eyes. I saw a huge blink and kept his eyes closed for a second, and then he opened them.
Family. And I thank Karen and Scotty Laramie for being so generous and open and sharing Maddie with her Mogen side of the family. When the 4 kids were murdered, the foundation fell out of our world.
Like a little bit of a hesitant blink. What do you think he's thinking about what he did in that moment?
He was probably daydreaming, and he's like, 4 people were murdered. Like, they're talking about me again. Like, time to listen.
Yeah. That's pretty close.
Initially, the fear was truly debilitating. The first 6 weeks were excruciating. Despite the vigils, memorials, candlelight gatherings of students, friends, family, community members. After the arrest, in the past 2.5 years, my family has lived with grief, with the effects of traumatic grief, of which I was blissfully unaware before all of this. I now have a stack of books on grief. I've attended grief classes at hospice. I've tried EMDR, a technique that helps replace disturbing visions with something more comforting. My son, Ben, his 2 sisters, Maddie's aunts, and I have all experienced depression and anxiety and sleep disturbance, requiring medical intervention at times. We've all sought counseling off and on. The struggle with media attention was extremely difficult, especially for Ben. No one should live through the violent murder of one's child. Some days it's beyond me how the parents of these kids are still upright. I'm thankful for the strong families and communities that are supporting the survivors. At the time, I could think of only 2 blessings surrounding the horrific murders. One was that Ben was living with my partner Tom and me at the time, and that we could support each other emotionally through it all. Sadly, Tom died a year ago of a rare brain cancer, and he won't be here to see justice served. He was our family's rock, and we all miss him every day. A second blessing is that my mother died of COVID several months before the kids were killed, and she didn't have to live through the horror. It was difficult to identify blessings. So we've all lost our dear child and a future with her. I ache for the loss of the dreams that she and her true love, Jake, held. And my heart goes out to Karen and Scotty and your side of Maddie's family. You've had more than your share of loss. My heart aches for the kids' roommates and the families of the other victims, and also the family of the perpetrator. Going forward, we
He kind of blinks his eyes a little bit, and then he kind of, I don't know. I mean, he's not making a lot of facial expressions, but almost a confused look with his face.
Right? Like as if he wasn't ready to hear that.
Yeah, he wasn't ready to hear somebody say something about his family. I didn't hear that part earlier. Interesting.
Americans are choosing to put our energy and focus into honoring Maddie's too short life and sweet spirit by celebrating Maddie May Day, which my two daughters established. On May 25th each year, Maddie's birthday, we encourage folks to do random acts of kindness in Maddie's name. In my daughter Katie's words, may we all protect our peace in whatever way possible, unite in community, and focus on joy. Please do an act in kindness in Maddie's honor during this week, so a glimmer of Maddie's light may live on. Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate your courage, and bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Now it's Ben Mogen, Maddie Mogen's father.
I'm Benjamin Mogen. I'm Maddie's dad. And first I just want to say thanks to all the people that helped bring this all to a close. I know it's not the resolution that everyone wanted, but I think that that everyone worked so hard, and we really appreciate all their efforts. It was such a hard thing to go through for everybody. Maddie was my only child that I ever had. She's the only great thing I ever really did, and the only thing I was really ever proud of. And I thought we would have the rest of our lives together to be together and know each other, and I took for granted the times she was in college, and I thought, oh well, we'll have the rest of our lives to do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and she was just about done. She actually earned all of her credits for college degree, and Karen and Scotty and I got to go and get her diploma that she actually earned, and she deserved every bit of that. And but I thought that was going to be just the beginning of a long life together, and we never got that. Karen and Scotty did such a great job raising her after Karen and I split up, and I'm so thankful for Scotty and the role that he played in her life when I wasn't able to. But we got to spend a lot of great times together. Maddie and I, she was my favorite person to go to a concert with. We got to see some fun shows together, and I told her, if there's ever a show that you want to go to, let me know, and I'll get you tickets for you and your friend, or if we want to go together, we'll make it happen. And my favorite memory with her was when the Mac Miller show sold out here in Spokane, and everyone wanted tickets, no one could get them, and they, on the last day before the show, they did a radio thing, and I got 4 meet and greet tickets for Maddie and her friends, and me to go and see the show, and that was her favorite artist at the time, was Mac Miller, and he's gone now too, and my little cousin Zach drove us all there that night, and he's gone too, tragically, and anyway, the last thing that she ever wrote to me was this Father's Day card. And I'm so glad I still have it. I'm just going to read what she said. It says, "Happy Father's Day. I hope you have the best day. I can't wait till we can hang out again soon. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene 624 to 74. Hopefully we can find a time then. I love your birthday card that you sent me, by the way. Maybe we can see a concert sometime soon. I'd love to see the gorge when it's not so smoky out. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of how far you've come. Thank you for always encouraging me to do my best. Love you lots and lots. Love, Maddie May." She did encourage me to not just to do my best, but to live on. I went through a lot of issues with addiction and with substance abuse, and when I wasn't wanting to live anymore, she was what would keep me from just not caring anymore. And knowing that she was out there and that she was just such a beautiful person kept me alive a lot of rough moments. And I'm so glad that she was able to meet Jake. He was the only one that I actually ever got to take her to the gorge. They went and saw watershed together, and yeah, they had a heck of a time. I'm so glad she got to. That's a really special place for me, and she always wanted to work out there with me in the summer sometime. And she never got to, but at least she got to see it once with Jake. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy, and I really wanted to see what a future with them would have looked like.
This is sad.
I'll never be able to replace her. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I just don't know what to say right now. I just miss her so much, and I just love her more than anything. And this shouldn't happen. And a death sentence is one thing. When it's going to happen, and it's going to be all gentle and stuff. But, life without parole, with a building full of people that all just want you to not be around anymore, and winking at every morning, not knowing if that's the day they're going to pull your card. I mean, it's not a very nice sentence either. So, I don't know. I just love you, Maddie. I wish you were still here.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, next would be members from the Kaylee Goncalves family. First will be her father, Steve Goncalves.
Oh, hold on. Wait, hold on physically. Wait till you.
That was hard.
That was so hard. Wait till you hear the Goncalves. Wait till you hear this next three. That was very hard.
No, I know, and I'll get there. I just feel
no.
bad.
That was very hard to hear, and especially because you see that he wrote something down, and he must have lost his spot, and he goes to look for it, and he's like, I don't even know. That was just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I feel for him. I feel for all of them, but this guy definitely has no feelings. It doesn't bother him, the pain that he's caused. That's the difference between him and most people, right? The humanity aspect of it. For those of you that are saddened and things, even if you had once thought he was innocent, and if this doesn't break your heart of what some of these people went through, and you feel exactly like him, I mean, you're probably part of the problem. But if this is breaking your heart and you look at this guy and his emotions are just not there, doesn't care. It's
terrible.
Crazy.
People are requesting that for these next few that you put it on 1 speed, because it's that you'll see what they mean.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
I was going to say, you'll see what they mean too. Wait till you see Olivia. Oh my God.
All right, let's do this. Let's see what happens. I have not seen any of this at all.
I was going to say, I'm more interested in looking at your reaction at this point than PK's.
Oh, nice.
Today, we are here to finish what you started.
Hold on, I want to rewatch that. I heard he
knew
had
you were gonna
turned
love
it, but
that
I
one.
had no idea he turned it that much.
Yep.
And I want to see what his reaction is. I didn't catch it.
Your Honor, next would be members from the Kaylee Goncalves family. First will be her father, Steve Goncalves.
Judge looks emotional here. Oh, he's nodding like kind of like accepting the challenge, so to speak.
Yeah, like,
First thing I
bring
did.
it.
Like, yeah, like, oh, okay.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control. Today, we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families. The wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community. You tried to break our community apart. You tried to plant fear. You tried to divide us. You failed. Instead, your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you. I just learned from these lead investigators, to their shock, they worked in an investigation and actually worked with Pennsylvania police officers and the federal FBI. You united everyone. Everyone was united after you.
Looks like he's getting mad a little.
None of us are divided. We are united in our disgust and our love for these children. Today, you have no name. Because when this all started, we all came together and we said, let's stop even talking about his name and just use initials. So even the media just calls you BK. That's all you are. Looking back when the police officers knocked on my door, told me what happened to my child, told me what happened to Maddie Mae, I don't think he was even out of the driveway before my kids turned around, looked at me and said, what do we do, Dad? I told them, you get to work. You get your ass to work. And we started calling, we started texting, we started emailing. And you know what? Within hours, we had your white car on the camera. We knew from the very beginning we had you. Police officers tell us within minutes, they had your DNA, like a calling card. You were that careless, that foolish, that stupid. Master degree, you're a joke, complete joke. But we took this disaster and we did what we could. We put everything online. We took our kids, we took our images, we took everything that they did, their videos, their photos, the girls' pranks, Ethan singing. We put it out there, we shared it with the world. And the world united. And all they ended up, when they talked about this case, is they talked about Kaylee Jade, Maddie Mae, Xana, and Ethan. Everything what these people meant to us, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, we shared that with our community. Then we shared it with our state. We shared it with the country, and eventually we shared it with the world. The world's watching because of the kids, not because of you. Nobody cares about you. You're not worth the time, the effort to be remembered. In time, you will be nothing but two initials forgotten to the wind. No visitors, nothing more than initials on an otherwise unmarked tombstone. From this moment, we've all started. From this moment, we will forget you. We want to, I'll leave in closing, one last thing. You picked the wrong family, and we're laughing at you on your trip to the pen. I will be today or tomorrow. I'll close with God bless all the men and women that worked on this case and all the hard work that you guys did. You guys allowed us to grieve and allowed us to get through this. The amount of work that you guys put together and the way that you guys put it together was beautiful. There was hard times to be expected, but thank you all. God bless.
Thank you.
Very powerful. Very
That's
powerful.
how you give a statement.
You know, very courageous. It takes a lot of courage to face the person that did this, to look them in the eye and face their direction.
Steelers fan and I were noticing. Do you see how much chair? Like, look at how much chair you see now. Where before, like, he's literally going down in the chair.
Yeah. You know, I noticed him nodding a little bit. He looked like he was getting mad.
Mm-hmm. Wait till you see the next one.
Like his eyebrows were starting to protrude out more. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know.
And his jaw.
Mm-hmm. I agree. During Olivia's statement, pause to give us live reaction feedback.
Yeah, like you'll see what they mean. Olivia literally, like, I can't even explain it. She like does better than an A+. She like got the assignment.
All right. Is she next?
Yes. Wait till you see.
All right. I have not seen any of this. I have
Oh
not
my
seen
God.
Steve. I have not seen Olivia's. I've heard a lot of people say that he puts him in his place or things of that nature, but I have not seen any of it. All right.
Wait till you see it.
Let's see this.
Your Honor, next is Stephen Goncalves, Kaylee's brother.
Stephen's actually going to pass. I'm going to go.
Okay. Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's sister.
Stephen did talk, Steve Gonzalez Jr., and I have his statement after the fact. And I understand why he paused, and we'll watch that after the fact, too.
Hello. I'd like to start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I'm the big sister of Kaylee Goncalves, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogen as a sister, too. I'm not here today to speak in grief. I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful.
They were everything you were never going to be.
She so got the assignment.
I mean, for a person that has struggled with that, his self-worth and things of that nature,
So,
do you think he feels any of this?
Okay, so in this one, for Steve and Olivia especially, if anything, and this is just my opinion, I think if we feel any emotion, it's during these two, and it's probably more like anger.
Right.
Oh, wait till you see. She goes hard. Wait till you see.
All right, well, let's continue.
Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them, and not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me,
Nodded a little bit.
why would you give the satisfaction
In agreement.
of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down. And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are: sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your
So that nod there, I think he realized what it is that she's doing to him. She's asking him the questions that he had asked from the survey. So he's figuring that out. And he doesn't move when she says to sit up.
Yeah, sit up straight when I'm talking to you.
Yeah, he stays defiant and still slouching. Couple of things.
your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon? The clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime scene 5 hours later, or never, ever going back to Moscow, not even once, after stalking them there for months? If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention just to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Damn. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was powerful.
Very, and she knew what to say to get to his ego. Like that's definitely, I feel like what we're seeing there is like a narcissistic injury. Like I feel like yeah, go ahead.
How do you think he's taking it though? I mean, if he's a guy that feels a certain way about women and power and control and things, for him to be talked to in that manner, and then for her to get the standing, well, not the standing ovation, but the claps that she got. How do you think that makes him feel?
I think it depletes his ego. And that's exactly what she was going for. Like, she literally got the assignment. She said everything he, like, was afraid to hear. Like, everything from the one part where she says something about him being big in the dark because he was nothing in the light.
Yeah.
Like, she just literally gets she gets it. She deflates his ego, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, that was powerful. I mean, at the end, saying that she would have gotten in his effing ass kicked by Kaylee. I mean, that I even took a step back. I was like, whoa, that's I mean, that was powerful. And I was like, she's standing up and she's going at him. And I don't think he anticipated somebody to do that.
And what do you think she meant by what other weapon did you use?
Well, her face was not recognizable. And so it was some blunt force trauma that was used. My thoughts
we
are
did talk about this, the butt of the knife.
right. I think it's the butt of the knife. I think if you're reaching over somebody and let's just say he has the knife and I have a selfie stick here. Let's stick this part out. He has the knife this way and he's reaching over. He may end up crossing over and going like that with the butt of the knife, which would apply a lot of force. And
that would make sense.
And that would be a very devastating, especially the butt of the knife being so strong.
I love that somebody else wrote too about how she calls him all the things that Ann Taylor was trying to keep out.
Yeah. And I love the judge
Like,
doesn't stop any of it.
I did too. I said that earlier. The fact that he didn't stop Steve, I thought was great because I think afterwards everybody would have talked about that and less about like everything else. So I think it was good that he was able to just let it go.
Yeah. I mean, this evil man took the lives of people that they love. I think he's showing in the compassion that maybe they didn't get, from law enforcement early on or throughout this case. It starts off with, how a bunch of these families, like it was hell to just find out what happened. You know what I mean? Things were being kept from them from the beginning. And so, even having to find out that your loved one has passed through other means outside of law enforcement, when law enforcement was outside that door and we're aware, and yet they're the ones that didn't call. They're not the ones that didn't make contact with the next kin. It took them hours to do those things. And so I appreciate this judge so much. I want to say thank you to Natalie. Comes in with a mic drop for $19.99. And then we have Mikey, what up? Coming in with a membership for 21 months. What's going on, my man? Good to see you. I don't know if I actually showed it. There it goes. Good to see you. Good to see you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate everybody here. Let's continue this.
Next is Christy Goncalves, Kaylee Goncalves' mother.
Miss Dog Lover comes in $4.99 saying Olivia's statement was so powerful. I hope all the families can now find peace and a way to move forward. Thank you so much for your donation and appreciation with your $9.99.
Oh yeah, his dad wasn't there, but the mom and sister were.
Thank you, Your Honor. I never imagined having to speak to someone so devoid of humanity. For a long time, I didn't think I'd find the words low enough to meet you where you are. But now I realize this isn't about you. It's about what you've done to me, and I need you to hear it. When you murdered my daughter, Kaylee J. Goncalves, you didn't just take her life, you shattered others. You attacked what you could never be, and in doing so, you left a trail of devastation far beyond that house. You stole my peace. You've altered my every waking moment, every sleepless night, the way I view the world, people, safety, trust. It's all been changed by your cruelty. I no longer recognize parts of myself. Joy is harder to find. Laughter feels foreign. The world moves forward, but I'm suspended in a place of sorrow and rage. You've taken from me something that can never be restored. The grief sits with me every day, some days quietly, and other days so loud it drowns out everything else. The emotional toll you've inflicted on me is immeasurable. I live with a constant ache, with birthdays that are now memorials, with holidays that feel hollow, with empty chairs that scream louder than words ever could. I am forever changed. But for you, As a person working on a PhD in criminal justice, you really didn't think this one through. You're not that good. In fact, you're not that good at anything. You couldn't secure a job. You couldn't get along with others. You couldn't even get a female to look in your direction. All because you are pathetic. Now you're a joke in this courtroom. I wish I could crown you with a jester hat to complete your orange jumpsuit clown look. A dead killer doesn't kill again. So while I'm disappointed the firing squad won't get to take their shots at you, I'm confident that the men in prison will have their way with you in more ways than one. You will finally get what you wanted, physical touch. Just probably not how you were expecting it. See, you haven't beat the system. You've simply entered a new one, where the rules are cruel and the consequences will never end. You are entering a place where no one will care who you are and no one will ever respect you. You will be forgotten, discarded, used, and erased. You will always be remembered as a loser, an absolute failure. And when those prison doors slam shut behind you, I hope that sound echoes in your heart for the rest of your meaningless days. I hope it reminds you of what we all already know. You're nothing. May you continue to live your life in misery. You are officially the property of the state of Idaho, where your fellow inmates are anxiously awaiting your arrival. But it's okay, because they're there to help you. Hell will be waiting. Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Oh, snap.
Thank you.
That's crazy.
He
That's
looks
funny.
pissed.
Do we have more
He
from the
does.
Goncalves family, or are you?
Yes. Next would be Shannon Gray, the Goncalves family attorney. He'll be reading statements from Kaylee Goncalves' grandmothers.
I'm going to speed up this speed on
Your Honor,
these.
Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family. I actually have 3 statements, one from her aunt and 2 from her grandparents. This is from her aunt, Tammy Butts. You, in the cloak of darkness, made a decision to turn our whole family's world upside down forever. You, in the cloak of darkness, took our Kaylee J. Goncalves away from us all without hesitation. Never have you shown any remorse or regret. We just get creepy, non-expressive stares as you have your team of women defend you. Kaylee was a strong, kind, fun-loving, caring person, and she will greatly be missed by all her family and friends for the rest of our lives. She had goals in life that you took from her and us. We lose on watching her enjoying her life, working hard and building the future she wanted. She was ready to start that after college life. You, in the cloak of darkness, took it all away. You left us without her future wedding, her future children that she would have added to our family. No more talking to her on the phone, going for a coffee, celebrating holidays. It's all gone. You, in the cloak of darkness, gave each and every one of Kaylee's family members their own lifetime sentence. You, in the cloak of darkness, also took our Maddie Mae from all of us. She was so genuine, caring, polite. She was part of our family. You came in, harmed our children that were younger women than you in their own beds. You're nothing, you're a coward. It's not right that you have received life. I pray that you meet your end in the cloak of darkness, burn in hell. I have 2 other statements, Your Honor. This is Linda Lucan's statement. This is Kaylee's grandmother. I really don't know how to address something so inhumane, but I will try. Nothing in the past 2.5 years has made any sense. All I get is you cowardly went into a home at night, filled with what I'm sure you thought was all sleeping girls, and went on a vicious killing spree for no other reason but to appease your demonic urges. You took my granddaughter Kaylee from us, plus 3 other beautiful lives. You took my granddaughter Kaylee, beautiful, sweet-souled, doll-faced Kaylee, who was getting ready to start her amazing life, who had such a bright future, who was loved by so many, who you were so envious of. She had a life you could never have. You are so beyond human. You're definitely a demon from hell. I truly wish your punishment would be the same death you inflicted
He's
on our
nodding.
kids.
He's nodding
But I
to
think
that.
you will meet some new friends in prison who will be there just to help you. Thumbs up.
He's nodding to about the being an evil demonic person. He agreed to
Yeah,
that.
because everybody's evil and he's the devil. He's like the best of the evil.
Yeah. Called him demonic, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah. And I have one last statement, Your Honor. This is from Cheryl Goncalves, Kaylee's other grandmother. John 1:5 says, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcomes it not. Somewhere in your life, some jealousy, envy, ego, something went dark. It pushed out all light until you became dark and evil. And when you saw my granddaughter and her friends, their light, because they have such a light, you couldn't stand it. Because the darkness in you could not stand the light in them. And so you decided to destroy it. Cowardly, you walked into their rooms in the dark and took their lives, hoping to get rid of your darkness. But you didn't. You failed. Because you know what was once a light shown only to their friends, families, and loved ones is now all over the world. Everyone sees it. Their smile, their beauty, their plans, everything they were and had. And you think you put a close to it, even that, but you didn't. Because they still exist. They are still light. They are still beautiful. You can never take that away. They will always be in the light of all eternity. And you will be in the darkness because you could not overcome it. You failed. I want you to be gone, more than gone. I want you to be cast out. Cast out from my life, from my family, from this earth. I will not allow your hatred to penetrate into my own soul. You did not get that power. You are evil, and in the end, evil is eradicated. You didn't take Kaylee's light, you spread it into the world. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. Are you moving to a different family now? All right, why don't we take a 10-minute recess? All right.
All right. We're going to fast forward through this. What did you think so far up to this point?
I think that this is so effective. I'm going to turn off my video thing because you can't see me anyway because I'm in my car, but I'm still here.
Okay. No problem. Understood.
Yeah, I think it's so effective. At least I thought it was. And I think that it's good that it didn't. Remember how they took like an extra day just in case they would need it? I think it's good that it didn't take like 2 days because I think it's more effective when it's like to the point.
I wonder how his lawyers feel during this entire process. They've defended him. They've said things like they believe he's innocent. They were going to blame 4 other people. They were going to bring up 4 other names as a possible alternate perpetrators if that was allowed. How do you think they feel after that sitting next to him?
That it's their job. Like, I don't think this is the first time that they've blamed. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like to them, it's like they're able to rationalize it because they're like, I'm giving him the best defense. Wouldn't you want the best defense?
Yeah, no, I get that. But I mean, to me,
no,
it's
I'm
just
not
kinda...
saying that. I'm saying that's what I think they're thinking. I don't think
Right.
Right.
No, and I understand that process, and I'm sure that's the thoughts that you have to do, and that's why I could never be a defense attorney.
No,
I mean, I could defend somebody if I knew they were innocent, but if they were somebody I thought committed the crime, I just could not help somebody, in my opinion, get away with something like that. It just wouldn't sit well with my heart and soul. And so and I'm not saying that these folks are bad people or defense attorneys or no, everybody needs them. And, you know, I know a lot of folks that I've talked to that are defense attorneys tell me that, you know, it's the Constitution that they believe in and that they have to make sure that everything is followed by the rules and things of that nature. And I completely understand that. But I just think that there was some things that were said throughout this entire process that was a little bit different. Like, oh, he's innocent. And, you know, the looking at 4 others and stuff like that. I don't
Yes,
know.
because she was so ready to just like ruin those 4 other people's lives. But again, I think that, I mean, maybe she did it knowing that Hitler was never going to allow her. Do you know what I mean? Like, so maybe to her, it's like that was just her way of saying, like, I defended the best that I could, like knowing that he was never going to allow her to really ruin 4 people's lives without evidence.
But then there was also like with Massoff, I think is her name. She's like rubbing his shoulders in certain pictures and saying it's an honor to defend him. You get what I'm saying? There's some questionable statements that have been out there. Man, I never noticed how short Ashley Jennings is. Look, she looks really tiny.
I know, right?
Nothing against short folks, you know, for those that are vertically challenged.
I was going to say I'm only 4'11", so she's
I
probably
know.
taller than me.
She might be. I don't know. I mean, she looks kind of short there. Nothing against anybody short. Just pointing that out. I thought she was a little bit taller. But all right, let's continue. Let's continue this. I think is it all the way through? Oh, pretty much. Oh wow. All right, we're almost there.
Be seated. All right, Ms. Jennings.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next family is the family of Xana Kernodle, and first would be Jasmine Kernodle, Xana's sister.
He looks creepy as hell right there in that posture.
Just want to say thank you to everyone who's been involved in this and just for all the hard work and dedication you guys are putting to this. I just want to thank everyone for the support and just my family and friends who've been around through this time. I went back and forth on whether to speak today because the truth is you don't deserve power over my feelings, my words, or me. Thank you. In the end, I realized this moment isn't about you. It's about justice for Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. It's about honoring the beautiful people they were and still are in God's eyes. On November 13th, 2022, a piece of my heart was ripped away. There's no way to ever fully describe the weight of losing my sister and my best friend. No sentence or punishment will ever come close to the justice Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie deserve. Xana was everyone's best friend. She was kind, she was funny. She was a gift to each person she was able to make an impact on. Xana was someone I turned to when I needed direction or advice. Although I am her older sister, I often found myself looking up to her. She had a radiant energy that everyone loved, and she always knew the right way to approach a problem. She knew how precious and special life was, and she truly did live every day to the fullest. Yet her story was cut short by an act of evil. I believe in God, whose justice is not bound by this courtroom. I find peace knowing that judgment ultimately belongs to him. For your sake, I hope one day you feel the full weight of what you did. I hope you take accountability. I hope you truly experience the guilt and you surrender yourself to Jesus Christ, because no punishment on this earth can ever compare to the isolation and pain of eternal separation from God. Xana deserved more. They all did. But I come here to say this. I am strong. I am brave. I'm a fighter, just like Xana. And you don't get to control how I move forward or what I believe. I walk with the comfort of knowing I will see my sister again. Xana didn't get the future she deserved. She won't be the maid of honor at my wedding, the cool aunt to my future children. I'll never hear her laugh or see her light up a room ever again. But I will carry her with me for the rest of my life. I will live in her honor, fight to be the best kind of woman and someone she's proud of, to make sure the world never forgets who she was. Xana's story doesn't end with what was taken from her. It lives through the love she gave, the people she touched, and the legacy our family will protect. Her light still shines, and her voice will echo louder than this pain. You didn't take that from us, and you never will.
Thank you.
I just want to say, before I start, I'm Xana's dad, Jeff Kernodle. It's been a hard road down, because she's gone. And I want to thank everybody, other their families that's speaking so far, spoke about things. I agree with everything they have to say. It all comes back to a lot of the same things that I've had to deal with and we as a family have had to deal with. And that brings me, the basis of what I'm gonna talk about a little bit is on my way up here, flying up here on the plane and about halfway through the flight, it's a little girl calling out for her dad. Hey, dad. And then in my mind, I was kind of half asleep. It's dark on the plane. I heard Xana calling out for me like she did, back when she was little, 5 years old. And those times were hard. It was chaotic, but we always had something to work toward that was in a positive direction compared to right now, which is necessarily not as positive as that for sure. And I miss Xana a lot. My life's been changed, and Xana had a great impact on me. And the impact was when she was gone, I realized how important she was. And what she really did for me, influenced me, was way beyond what I ever thought. She'd call me up on the weekends, check on me, see who's with me. She's like accountability to your youngest daughter. And that really made a big difference. It made me really think about things and what it's all about, That's the things that I miss the most is those calls on the weekends, and the calls at 11 at night. What's going on? You want to meet my friend? Whoever she's with, a couple of her friends, I can meet them, talk to them. And she always did that. And it's pretty cool. I really miss that. And she made a big impact on me, on other people, her family. But the impact that she made is so extensive on what happened here. And it goes so far. People from everywhere in the world, are following things, and Xana has made a difference in their lives. So, countless people so that they might not even know her. They never knew anything about her. It's what they see, and they just love her and say how they wish she could have been their friend. Could have been their friend, could have hung out, and it's like, this is a blessing. This is what the little kid was, and definitely was a big blessing in my life. And so is Jasmine. And basically, we worked hard to do the things we did, through the times that we were growing up. And through those times, I realized that I wanted both of them to graduate college, and that'd be the ultimate thing for them to do to prepare for the world. Then it came back to me. Xana didn't get to finish college. He had it all figured out. And this all just came back to me when I was there, and that little girl was on the plane doing that. It's like where I was going, what I was going here for. And then I just realized and thought to myself about the wonderful life that she had and we had together. And I still could have with Jasmine, but that's the part that really counted. It's the part that really counted is those memories. And those are what I have left, the memories with her and the ones I can make with her and the life that I can go on with now, which is what she wants. And I say that in present tense because that's what she wants, because I've been told that, I've had countless ways that she's out there and has a way to communicate, which I'm very grateful for. That goes to say that the impact of what happened to them, all 4 kids, goes so much further than just not me, the parents, the families, the community. It goes so far because a lot of kids, in the colleges, just for an example, they lock their doors now. The door wasn't locked in the back. Penn State or wherever it was, all the colleges I know that I've heard, they all lock their doors now. So maybe the impact that it's going to make is going to help out and maybe protect some people. Having this outreach and having the influence of what happened to these kids did, all I know is I was 7 miles away when it happened, and she wasn't feeling that good. It was 11:30, and I almost went over to Susanna's to say, and I would have been sitting right there on that couch, and you had to deal with me. So they would have had a chance, and I regret that. I regret not going, but the reason why I didn't is because Xana said, "Don't be drinking and driving. You got the rental car. Don't be drinking and driving." The week before that. So she would have been mad at me to do that. But I really wish I would have drunk and drove, because they would have had a chance, all four of them. At this point, I just have to go on. We're gonna go on with everything and make things better in my life, because that's what it's all about. I have closure in things, and the part that we miss is Xana, her influence, her smile, the things that she did, and we have the memories left, the great memories, and she just wants us to make more memories and not be sad or upset or shocked or taken for that, and that's what we're gonna do. We just have to. That's all I got.
Thank you for your words and your courage, and bless your family.
Man, his words are like, you can tell he's broken. There's some regret there. He was going to go over that
hard. That was hard to listen to. I feel so bad. And talk about like guilt. I hope he doesn't torture himself for the rest of his life over that. Like, I think a lot of people tend to do that in grief, and it sucks because we could all do that. I'm sure I've done it at some point, but I just hope that he realizes that no matter what he would have done, like Steve always says, like, even if they would have called 911, for example, it wouldn't have changed the outcome. So that's just so sad.
It's so heartbreaking. And I mean, it's painful. It's painful.
Wait till you see the mom. She's next, and wait till you see how good she looks. The last time I saw her before, like recently, was when Ashley Banfield first had her on, like back in the very beginning. Wait till you see Xana's mom. 18 months sober.
That's good. That's an accomplishment. That really is.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Kim Kernodle would like to address the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Kim Kernodle. I am Xana's aunt.
She's after this one, sorry.
Her in my life, in our family. And I thought I had everything in my head, what I wanted to say, but it kind of went out. And I'm always looking for the positive thing, because evil, hate can destroy people. And that's what it started doing with our family. It created anger with our family members. And then I had to look, because Xana was everything that the media, her friends said. She was that fun, loving, high-spirited, beautiful person. And I no longer get to get my nails done with her, have lunch with her. Sorry. But how I look at it now is this tragedy, this horrible tragedy on all of the 4 children, has brought us closer. You united us with your actions. We're united now, and we're stronger than ever. We have family and friends now that we never knew we had. And, this is probably going to bother everybody, but Bryan, I'm here today to tell you I have forgiven you, because I no longer could live with that hate in my heart. And for me to become a better person, I have forgiven you. And anytime you want to talk and tell me what happened, get my number. I'm here, no judgment, because I do have answers or questions that I want you to answer. And I'm here. I'll be that one that'll listen to you. Okay? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
My name is Bryan Kohberger, and I'm Xana's uncle.
What do you think, Dr. Vona? Do you think he would take her up on that? He kind of nodded a little bit.
What exactly did she say?
She said that she forgives him. She called him Bryan.
Oh, that's what it was.
And then she forgives him, and then says she'll be the person that'll listen to him. She asks questions.
So I don't think that don't even think that he's interested in that part. But I will say this, you guys. So when it comes to anybody, when it comes to forgiveness, everybody needs to know that forgiveness does not mean that what the other person did is okay. And most of the time, right, the other person, sometimes they don't even know that they did anything that they need forgiveness for. So here they are living their life, and you're the one that's like being held back. And it's like, so when you forgive somebody, it's to unchain you so that you can get that independence back. So it just says, I'm no longer going to allow you to have power over me anymore. So she's releasing his power and negative energy from her life. But I don't know that he intellectualizes it that way. This is one of the parts where I feel like he starts to look bored.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable to me. Like, I feel like I could see where he looks animated, and then the ones where he's starting to look bored. And I feel like this was one of the ones. Like, look, his shoulders are back up. You could see less of the chair now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah. I
What
get
do
what
you
you're
think?
saying. I mean, there's some animation there in his eyebrows. There's some, there's something there in the eyebrows, and he was nodding. I don't think he would call her up and answer her questions on her behalf for anything that she wants. But do you think that he could see her as an avenue of, like I mentioned before, the victim's avenue is something that he hasn't studied, something he hasn't seen. This is his first time experiencing that, what it is that these victims felt. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if all his research and everything else that he's done up until this point is basically, you know, even when he was after the murders and while he was on the run, I don't think he was looking up how these families are feeling as much as he was probably looking up himself, or like what people were thinking about the crimes. You know, as far as the murders go, I don't know if he's like Googling up victims feeling like how they. I don't think that's a part of anything he did.
No, and I feel like you could like see hear the emotion even in your voice, like how you've been touched by this right now. So, but I think we need to keep reminding ourselves that he probably isn't receiving this the way that we are. So I don't know that even now he's even thinking of the victims and how
Right.
it
So,
affected them.
but what I'm saying is, do you think he can find? Do you think he's thinking of ways to exploit this aunt, Xana's aunt, to, you know what I mean? Reach out as a way of
I never thought
reliving the
about
crime.
that. I never thought about that. This is the thing. He's got like Dr. Kathleen Ramsland, Dr. Gary Bricado, like all these people that are world renowned that are waiting to speak to him. So I would say that if he, in my opinion, if he felt like his identity, as far as now he's infamous, that if he felt like that was threatened and there was like nobody paying attention to him, maybe. But I think that he is excited by the fact that there's so many famous psychologists that now want to speak to him and criminologists.
Yeah, but those people are coming at him from excitement. He can come at this person out of fear. You know, this is somebody that he can talk to that has emotions, who was tied, who knows the victims.
I see what you're saying. Like she's making herself vulnerable, or like letting him know her vulnerabilities and that he could exploit that.
Yes. Yes. Do you think that he might try to do that?
I have to be honest, I'm not getting that. I mean, if he did, I would not be like, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. But I wasn't getting that. I feel like in his new life in jail, there's going to be plenty of people that he's going to be manipulating and trying to, negotiate with on the daily. So, but that is a good thought, though. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but I don't feel it as if it's something that, I don't know. I'm not feeling it, but if it happens, I won't be surprised.
Yeah, because to me, it's not like, I mean, all these other forensic psychologists and things of that nature, you know, they're going to ask him, they're going to be intrigued by him, but he's not going to know how they felt while he was on the run. He's not going to know the fear created, those type of things. And that's why maybe interesting. GSUPS is in with $20 super chat. I wish I had the strength that Bethany and Dylan showed today. G family remain authentic. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Appreciate this. Thank you, GSU.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Let's continue with I think the uncle.
Yeah.
Name
and
pretty much
sorry about that, guys. I had muted it. Let me rewind that a little bit.
I do have answers or questions that I want you to.
He has contaminated, tainted their family. A pretty powerful thing. It's each time a statement was read, it sort of would tug into my center core as I felt everybody's anguish. And Xana meant a lot to us, and we loved her very much. But I started thinking about, instead of rehashing everything that everybody else has talked about, I wanted to direct it another direction toward Bryan and what he's done to his family, his parents, his siblings, his friends, his universe. He has contaminated, tainted their family name, and pretty much made a horrible, miserable thing to be ever related to him. And I know that that's what he has to live with, and that has to be his pain. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, I believe Randy Davis, stepfather to Xana Kernodle, would like to address the court.
Hi, my name's Randy, stepdad of Xana. I just feel the same way we all do. All of us are united because of something that happened. And I'm grateful to know and have met some new family because of this awful event. But this is probably the last time we're all going to be in the same room together. Let's be real. So I can say, I love you all, and I feel your pain. And just God bless us all, you know, just get through it. I had stuff wrote up. It was probably best I didn't read it out. Probably get kicked out of here. So, you know, I'll share one thing to you guys, not to you, with Xana. So I was working in North Dakota and came home, and Jazzy and Xana had taken our son Elijah and put him in a dress, makeup, and it was awful, you know. I was like, I don't know. She was funny. I told her she'd be in the movies and be somebody great one day like that. And now she is just above us as an angel with all the other beautiful kids. So let's hold that to our hearts, because this evil thing is not going to take nothing from us. You, man, I don't know what my limits are here, but I'm really struggling, dude. I am struggling. So I want to just be out in the woods with you, just so I can teach you about loss and pain. I love God. I wouldn't take your life. That's up to him. But I guarantee you, you are weak. God, I would just give a moment, man, 5 minutes out in the woods. Oh, man. You're going to go to hell. I know people believe in other stuff. You're evil. There's no place for you in heaven. You took our children. You are going to suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy, okay? Go to hell.
That was powerful.
Mm-hmm. It was.
I wish
and
it was.
he tells him, like, I would come for you if I could right now.
It's heartbreaking too.
It really is.
Because I mean, you could feel his pain. Did GSU comes in with another $10 super chat. Thank you so much, GSU. And the tears from Hitler, he was kind, understood, and respected. The families in a sentencing statement.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it yet, but we'll see. But man, that was sad. That I mean, it's powerful, but very sad at the same time.
You could see the chair again.
Yeah, he's sinking in more. He's sinking in. What do you think that implies? Do you think he doesn't want people to see him? Is that what that means?
It's like feeling small, which is the opposite of what he wants, right? He wants to feel big and like narcissistic would be grand.
Yeah.
So this probably makes him feel small and out of control. You have to remember, not you, but like people that are like, he's sitting there right now with the handcuffs on and leg shackles. So he couldn't even defend himself if he wanted to. So it's like that must feel out of control in itself.
Yeah. Ooh, this one's tough, guys. This one's a tough hearing.
Next is Kara Northington, Xana's mother.
I'm Kara Northington. I am Xana Kernodle's mother. This letter is to you, really, but it's for my daughter, who was murdered by you. Today I stand before you, the man who is responsible for murdering my beautiful daughter, Xana Kernodle. My daughter was beautiful both inside and out. She possessed love for those around her and had a light so bright it will live on forever in our hearts. She brought joy and laughter to her friends, her family, and anyone in her presence. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, now has her in his loving arms in heaven, where she can never be harmed ever again for eternity. Because of her, I came to know my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because of her, many will come to Christ. It is Christ who lives in me that has given me the strength to forgive you. It was of no power of my own. In return, the Lord has filled me with joy, hope, and peace that surpasses all understanding. Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter without you even being sorry or asking for this. This is only possible because he who lives in me is greater than any evil in this world. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I do not fear you or even let you rent space in my head anymore. This forgiveness has released me from any and all evil you have inflicted on me and my family. It has allowed me to let our Lord deal with you. You have accepted a deal that will prevent you from receiving the death penalty. Nothing man can do to you can ever compare to the wrath of God. Inevitably, you will stand before our Lord and will have to answer to him over the sins you have committed in murdering our children. I pray you come to the end of yourself before that day. Whether you like it or not, heaven is for real and so is hell. The innocent life of Xana that you stole from myself and my family, and the destruction of this, and the destruction it has caused. I am washing my hands of you and turning you over to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, whom vengeance belongs to. In closing, I want to read a passage from the Bible, Ephesians 6, King James Version. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and then in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, that ye may be able to stand in the evil day. I'm not going to share memories of Xana or any more of the goodness of her with you because I do not want that to be in your head. I don't want it to be in your head. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve our good memories that we have. I do pray for you. I pray that you come to the end of yourself. I pray that before this life is over, that you ask our Lord and Savior in your heart and to forgive you. I do pray for that. But after today, I wash my hands of you and you are no longer a thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe the state has any other victim impact statements.
Okay.
I know there's a little bit more, but now that the victim impact statements are done, they're very powerful. Xana's mom looked very good. She looked amazing out there. Very strong. I'm glad she found life with Jesus. And just a heartbreaking day so far, gut wrenching from all the victims' family members.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I agree.
all right. Let's continue. Let's see what's next.
Right, let's take an argue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just as a housekeeping matter to start, there will be the issue of restitution. That is, the documentation is being gathered, and we ask the court would defer that for 30 days so we can present it in an orderly fashion and make sure it's comprehensive for everyone.
Any objection to leaving restitution open in 60 days? All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think it's necessary and appropriate to share for everyone here, including the court, the background that brings us in front of Your Honor today for these proceedings. As the record reflects, and as everybody in this courtroom knows, the defendant has pleaded guilty to all 5 counts charged in the indictment. Under oath before Your Honor, he has admitted that the charges against him are true. He has reassured the court that he has not been coerced or threatened to make those admissions. And Your Honor did an extraordinary job in taking the pleas back on July 2nd. We appreciate the court's discipline and insight. The defendant has also waived appeal on the multitude of rulings from this court and Your Honor's predecessor in Latah County on literally dozens of motions seeking to dismiss the case, seeking to control or limit evidence, seeking to offer evidence that would not be appropriate. And we appreciate the court's consistent rulings based on the law, based on the facts. As Your Honor will recall, on June 18th, it's just really not that long ago, we appeared before this court for arguments on what became the defendant's final motions to this court. Motion where they wanted to offer evidence suggesting that other people were responsible for the defendant's actions, and the motion seeking essentially an indefinite continuance of the trial. It was readily apparent to all of us in the courtroom from Your Honor's comments that those motions were not going to be granted. So we returned to Moscow and continued with what we had been working on for months in preparation for trial. We had no qualms about going to trial if trial was what was necessary and appropriate. The following week after we were in court, we were approached by the defense with an inquiry about a possible plea. And I can tell the court this is the first suggestion ever that there was any consideration, because indeed the defense had maintained from the beginning that Mr. Kohberger, the defendant, was factually innocent. It's clear that the reality of the evidence and the case that had been investigated and prepared and that we were ready to present in court became a reality. Our reaction, among other things, was to reach out to all the families. And in fact, later that week, on Thursday and Friday of that last week of June, we met with representatives by teams, virtual meetings with representatives of all the families. And we talked about the status of the case and the upcoming trial and things that related to the trial. And we also let them know that there had been an inquiry about whether there might be an offer for a plea. And we asked the family members for their thoughts and feelings. And they were candid. And they have been candid since, and we respect that. And we understand, recognize, and acknowledge that there was a difference of opinion among representatives of the different families. We understand that. One of the challenges of this case, one of the unique things about this case is we have multiple victims, each unique unto themselves, their families and friends unique unto themselves, and all of them entitled to their opinions, all of them entitled to their thoughts. Over the following weekend, our prosecution team, very skilled attorneys who were personally as well as professionally deeply invested in this case, met. And we talked, and the decision was reached. Well, to start with, were there to be any sort of plea offer or discussion, there's only one possibility. And that would be for the defendant to plead guilty straight up to all charges. There would be no bargaining about counts. There would be no bargaining about reduced sentences. And so we made the proposal to the defense that if the defendant was willing to plead guilty up front to all 5 counts as charged and waive appeal of the court's myriad decisions during the past 2.5+ years on all of these motions that would have consumed years, if not decades, of time in the future. By the end of the weekend, we were notified that the defendant was prepared to plead guilty as charged and factually acknowledge his responsibility in court for these horrible crimes. Obviously, those discussions and negotiations were confidential. And as Your Honor noted, I believe that was necessarily so, because if the defendant had decided not to plead guilty, it would have been devastating to our jury pool for there to be public information that there had been even consideration by either party to a plea resolution. And protecting the prospective integrity of the trial after so many years was paramount. So the end of the weekend came. We notified the victims' families of what had occurred. I recognize and acknowledge personally, and I respect the fact that of these fine, suffering people here, not everybody agreed with the decision we make. I accept that. It's my responsibility in the end. I recognize that that's the duty of the office that I hold. So now, it is time for the judicial system to impose final judgment and close the door on this chapter of these tragedies. As the court is aware, by the agreement of the parties, it is the state's prayer. Perhaps have the Elmo please turn on. Thank you. That on count 1, the felony burglary, that the court sentenced the defendant to the maximum period of 10 years fixed in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. Then on count 2, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Madison Mogen.
He's fixated on that picture. You see that? He's like, he went like this, and then he's like, all right, there. He's fixated on the screen.
Absolutely. Look at him.
Yeah, the direction he's facing. Let me see. 36.
Oh.
It is time for the judicial system to impose final judgment and close the door on this chapter of these tragedies. As the court is aware, by the agreement of the parties, it is the state's prayer. Perhaps have the Elmo please turn on.
See, he looks back at Thompson. Looks again, looks back at Thompson. He's kind of confused.
That on count 1, the felony
What's up?
burglary, the court sentenced the defendant to the
Thompson.
maximum period of 10 years fixed in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. Then on count 2,
Oh, look at him.
Then he looks back at Thompson there.
that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed
Now-
life for the murder.
He sees, stop
Mhm.
shaking his head. All movement ceases.
On count 3, that the court sentenced the defendant
Wow.
to fixed life
No movement
for the murder
anymore.
of Kaylee Goncalves.
Now he's
On count
turned
4,
away. Looks back.
that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Xana Kernodle.
He nodded.
On count 5, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Ethan Chapin. And the state further prays that these sentences be ordered to run consecutively, back to back, not at the same time, to recognize and respect the unique individuality of each of these beautiful young people whose lives were taken brutally and for no reason. And hopefully now,
It's kind of squirmy looking back.
as we have heard earlier this morning, it is time to afford the families and the friends and the community and the state of Idaho and the nation and the world to move forward. We can't undo, and we can never undo, the horror of what occurred on the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho. For a long time, the presiding district judge in Latah County was John Stegner, who eventually became a member and a justice of the Idaho Supreme Court. And Justice Stegner often observed that even God cannot change the past. But everyone in this room has the ability to take themselves forward. And we want the judicial system to afford them the opportunity today to do that. From today forward, our memories should be focused on these innocent victims whose lives were taken, on their families, on their friends, on the community. The court has heard discussion, talk today, reminiscences today about a special family that our victims shared, not just their natural, legal, and biological families, not just their university family within their sororities, for example. But this family. This is the picture taken
He
on
turned
November
away
12th,
with that picture.
2022 of the special
2033. Look at him. Look at him.
But this family. This is the picture
Comes up, turns away.
taken on November 12th, 2022 of the special family of
Now he's
1122
fixated again.
King Road. And you can see all 6 of these dynamic, vibrant, loving, special, innocent faces taken together just across the street from their residence. And barely 12 hours before 4 of them would be brutally murdered in their sleep. They've been described consistently as being
He's
bright,
not looking at that picture.
caring, vivacious, with futures we can only imagine now. But they were.
Why do you think he's not fixated on this one like the other ones? He stayed looking until the picture came off of the screen.
So when I go back after, I want to see exactly what was Thompson saying, because I was so fixated on his face and looking at the picture that I'm wondering if when BK is looking at him, if they're in moments of when he thinks he's saying something incorrect. Almost like looking at him like, what? There was something he just said that I felt like, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but he says something to where I feel like BK's not agreeing with what he's saying, or he's just looking at him, looking him down right now. But he does look back again and look at the photo.
Do you think, well, if he was stalking him online, we'll speculate a little bit. Let's just say he was stalking online, and this was the image that was taken that day. This may have been one of the images that was the deciding point for him to have committed the crime that night. Would that have any effect, because this is an image that played a role in his crime?
If it did, but whether it did or not, but now that you said that, I just realized, I remembered, even after the crime, this is the photo that became like the photo for this crime. So he didn't get arrested right away. So he had, that beginning time where he also was watching or whatever he was doing online. So maybe he already knows this photo. Like maybe he's already stared at the photo enough to know what photo it was. I don't know. That's a good question.
Maybe.
I don't know that we really could tell though, unless he'd tell us. And I don't even know if we'd get the truth if we ask.
It's true. That's true.
And they remain a special family that I think we should all recognize and appreciate. So it's time to move forward. There have been a number of statements directed specifically at the defendant today. I have one last thought. After Your Honor imposes judgment,
he's still not
and
looking
sentences
at
the
it.
defendant to spend the rest of his life in prison. In other words, sentence the defendant to die in prison. He's going to stand up in the belly chains and leg irons that he's wearing today, and he's going to be escorted into the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. And the door will close behind him forever. That is the closure that we seek, that all of these people, these loving friends and family deserve, so that we can move forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, does the defense have evidence to present today? All right. Defense wish to make argument today. All right, Mr. Kohberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Well,
what do you think about that? I respectfully decline.
I think that this is a great example of how somebody with that might be antisocial or something might remember behavior, like they learn behavior and learn how to act in certain situations. So he says, I respectfully decline. And do you remember in the last one, Hippler tells him that he could sit down, that he understands that he's respecting him.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is his way of now using that. But this is a great example of how somebody with a personality disorder, in my opinion, this is how an example of how they'll use something from before and bring it into the present. So now if Hippler's not on his game thinking like, wait a minute, and if he didn't catch that, then that's going to be like, oh yeah, this kid respects me. I'm about to give him his sentence.
That is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, this guy is doing that because the judge made a comment to say, about respecting him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to do that. It had nothing to do with respect for the families, and had everything to do with the behavior beforehand. 100%.
Nor does it have anything to do with his real, whether he respects Hitler or not. That's all manipulation. Like you were saying earlier, I think he's trying to manipulate right here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a robot. He has no feelings. He's just taking in what he sees from other people.
And I'm sure that it's worked. I'm sure it's worked in the past in his everyday life where he's been able to, if you think about the girl that he drives, he gets her to drive him to go get drugs and then to go get needles. And he says it's for his aunt, but really it's for him. And she realizes later, and he eventually admits it. And like, you know, I don't think he apologizes, but he eventually admits it. But she even says like, that was the last thing she was thinking at the time. Like he was believable. She really thought that she was trying to help his aunt. And then she comes to realize later that if she would have gotten, like she could have gotten in trouble for driving him around if he would have gotten caught with drugs on him. So I think that, again, that's another example. And we'll see that this is continuous throughout life and therefore consistency. And we'll see that in personalities is consistency.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know what's going on, but it got a life of its own. Let's continue.
Please. All right, let me start this morning by acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today.
He looks like his posture has changed. He looks like he's sitting more straight up and more attentive.
Yeah, well, he's about to find out what his sentence is.
So now he's interested.
Mm-hmm.
It's about him, so he's interested.
Mm-hmm. That's
in
right.
support of their loved ones, and I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible. Thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case. It's been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case. During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward reached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people and senselessly slaughtered them, 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road now stands before the world and this court unmasked. This unfathomable and senseless act of evil has caused immeasurable pain and loss. No parent should ever have to bury their child. This is the greatest tragedy that can be inflicted upon a person. Parents who took their children to college in a truck filled with moving boxes had to bring them home in hearses lined with coffins. The loss this killer inflicted was not just the death of these people's children, siblings, grandchildren, as we've heard today. It has ripped a hole in their soul, destroying a special part of their very essence. Any person who is a parent defines themselves foremost as such. It is their existence and purpose of being. And it has been stolen from these parents. None of us have experienced the loss these victims have in the unspeakable way that they have. And therefore, none of us can, nor should we, question the way in which they have handled their loss. Whether that be in private mourning, removed as far as possible from this media circus, or in front of a camera demanding retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced by uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about 2 kids simply being kids. The parent
Hi, everyone. I thought we were frozen. I was like, I think we're frozen. For once, it's not me. It's usually me, right? So, I did see that somebody said about Papa Rogers. So I will say this, okay? So this is my feeling on Papa Rogers, just in case you want to know. So they do say in the press conference that they did not find any evidence that he was Papa Roger. So there you go. I could have been wrong about that. I still feel like, I don't know. I still feel like even I found evidence. So is it just that they didn't find evidence, or is it that they found evidence that it wasn't him? Because that would be different to me. Like that would be, play, like, are they playing on words? So again, did they say that? And I'm really asking if anybody knows, because I've been doing a million things today. It does look just like Papa Roger.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, we were just talking about Papa Roger and how they said that it's not BK. However, I will say so this is my question. Is it that they didn't find evidence that he was Papa Roger, or did they find that someone else is Papa Roger? Because that says something different to me, because there's a lot of things that they didn't find evidence of. They didn't find evidence of a sexual motive. They didn't find evidence of stalking. They didn't find evidence of them knowing each other. Like, so there's so many things that they didn't find evidence of. So how do I know that Papa Roger doesn't just fall with the rest of those things that we know that there was probably evidence of?
For me with Papa Roger, I struggled to ever, like, I had my doubts about him being BK, and some of it was the timing in which some of those those messages were. They weren't in the odd hours of the night. They were in hours that you would expect somebody to be online. That's normal. I thought that he had a lot of self-control by not going back to the crime scene. That took a lot of discipline. And I think that it would have taken more discipline not to do that versus getting online and spewing information that only the killer would know. And so to me, I thought for a large part of this that it was not him. And I kind of got a little convinced there,
I kind of was too, because I don't know. But I would love to see all the evidence, because I know, like, so who is Papa Roger?
I think, I think it's a cop. I think part of me thought it was a cop. I thought they were trying to get somebody to react, somebody to come forward. Maybe perhaps they thought that the person would be on the online forums and things of that nature. And maybe if they threw out some information and they try to provoke them, like, for instance, when they started saying Papa Roger said something about sexual dysfunction and things of that nature. So I thought for a moment.
Doesn't it look like him too, though?
That's the weird thing, right? Like, how weird is it that you end up getting that?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to be like people where we have evidence that, he's saying I'm guilty, and then people are like, no, he's not. So I don't want to be that person with Papa Roger. Like, if I was wrong, I was wrong. It's whatever. But I do want to see, like, I don't want to just be like, okay, I'm wrong. I do want to, like, see, like, where, again, did they find it was connected to someone else, or did they just find lack of evidence that it was him? Because all of that would mean something to me.
I'll say this. So I talked to one of the families, and one of the family members, I was asking about Papa Roger, and they were telling me that some of their family members were on the fence. This particular family member thought that there was a good possibility that Bryan Kohberger was Papa Roger. And another family member of theirs didn't think at all that it was Papa Roger. And they said they had a conversation, but it was early on, after Bryan Kohberger's arrest. And they had asked Thompson and the prosecution if Bryan Kohberger was Papa Roger. Now, I had asked, I said, hey, because they were asking me if I thought Papa Roger was Bryan Kohberger. And I said, I'm like 90-ish%, but, I didn't know. I was probably closer to 80, but, for the longest time, I was 50-50 on it. I was like, it's possible, it's possibly not. And the more I started, thinking about the questions that were asked, the picture of them that look so close together, I really started to lean, maybe this is actually Bryan Kohberger. And they had asked, and I'd asked them, I said, hey, well, didn't you ask the prosecution if it was him at any point? What was their response? And before they responded, I said, well, if the response was no, then I would say then he's absolutely not Bryan Kohberger. But if the response was no comment, then there's a possibility there. And the response that I got was that prosecution said no comment. And then I kind of dug in a little bit more, and the actual statement was we cannot confirm nor deny it. And so no comment and not confirm nor deny are two different things, right? No comment told me that yeah, he was more than likely would have been him. Can't confirm nor deny means that it's a possibility, and it's also a possibility that they have no idea.
So why would a
and-
cop though? Somebody said it in chat, and this is a good point. Why would a cop put out there about the knife sheath?
That's a good point. And where I was going with that is I thought maybe it was a cop, but then if they were unsure at that point, that tells me it's not a cop because they would have known.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I was going. So as I was breaking it down, I no longer think it's a cop. It's probably dude, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a WSU criminology student who got freaked out when Bryan Kohberger's name came up and said, holy crap. And their picture looks kind of similar to Bryan Kohberger. And that's the reason why they kind of went dark.
I still feel like I want to see that. Like I want to see what the data is that shows it wasn't him. Because didn't he have a VPN and everything? Like, couldn't there be a way that he?
Well, picture this. What if it was a WSU student, right? What if it was a criminology WSU student? And the reason why they said that I think maybe there's the knife sheath there is because they can't, and this is just speculation. This is bull crap. Just me talking. Like, wouldn't it be weird? Like, all right, so if you're a criminology student, that's why some of the questions seem very similar to what Bryan Kohberger was asking in his thing, in his Reddit survey and stuff. It's because it's kind of coming from the same genre, so to speak, when it comes to what they were studying. And what if like this person talked to other people outside of Facebook and they spoke to other students at WSU, maybe perhaps even Bryan Kohberger? And what if they got that information from that? What if they're like, what if Bryan Kohberger told them something like, man, maybe the guy left the knife sheath since they know it's a fixed knife, you know, like kind of like when I'm talking to somebody, I've seen it a couple of times where I say something on the show and then I'll see other folks say a lot of the same things that I'm saying, just kind of regurgitating it. Maybe he or she got spooked when the name came up, because that's the only thing that it doesn't make sense to me for somebody to be so argumentative and somebody to be trying to explain a point that ends up being true, doesn't gloat. It doesn't make any sense given the personality that they were displaying online. What do you think?
I don't know. I was like convinced that it was him, and I was the entire time. And I'm usually like, I mean, of course, I'm going to be wrong at things. I'm not good at everything, but this was one of the things that I really felt it was him. But somebody said that Anjanette Levy explains it better than they can. So after we get off, I'm going to 100% research it so that I could see why they're saying it wasn't him. Because again, I need to see data. I don't just, and it's not that I don't take people in the chats word. I'm just saying in general, I would tell everybody, don't just take anybody's word for it. Do your own research.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'll figure it out.
All right, let's hit play on this and see. There's just a few minutes left.
Retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today, with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced by uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about two kids simply being kids. Parents, siblings, and other family members who have spoken today are designated as victims in our legal system. But going forward, I hope that they can shed that label, as it gives too much power to the evil that condemned them to that role. They are and should be known as survivors, fighters, and foremost as witnesses to the tremendous lives of value and unbounded promise of these four young people. But those speaking today and those who did not speak, but who carry the same burden, this same loss, now carry forward the memories of these now perpetually young people, these forever children. These survivors carry the responsibility of ensuring that the voices of these children, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, are never forgotten, and the positive impacts that they have had on so many lives are never minimized, and that the love they shared, the light that they shined onto others is forever celebrated. As we sit here today, this case is ending, and we are now certain who committed these unspeakable acts of evil, but we don't know, and what we may never know is why. I share the desire expressed by others to understand the why, but upon reflection, it seems to me, and this is just my own opinion, that by continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Kohberger relevance. We give him agency, and we give him power. The need to know what is inherently not understandable makes us dependent upon the defendant to provide us with a reason, and that gives him the spotlight, the attention, and the power he appears to crave. Yet even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? Do we really believe, after all of this, he's capable of speaking the truth or of giving up something of himself to help the very people whose lives he destroyed? Rather, I suspect the so-called reason would be dished out in enticing, self-serving, and aggrandizing untruthful bits, leaving people wanting more information, more insight, and thus enhancing even further the power he seeks to hold. Even if we could get truthful insight into his why, I suspect it would not in any way quench one's thirst for actually understanding why in the first instance. Because there is no reason for these crimes that could approach anything resembling rationality. No conceivable reason could make any sense. And in the end, the more we struggle to seek explanation for the unexplainable, the more we try to extract a reason, the more power and control we give to him. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. It's time that he be consigned to the ignominy and isolation of perpetual incarceration. I know there has been concern about him collaborating on books or movies or other media projects, and I truly hope that someone does not stoop to affording him this spotlight that he desires in the name of clicks, royalties, or profits. While criminal behavioralists should study him away from the spotlight in an attempt to prevent other would-be killers from acting on their worst impulses, there should be no need for that to spill over into the public eye. The great Idaho jurist Edward Lodge was known for trying to find something positive about every person he ever sentenced. And with over a half a century as a trial judge, that was a lot of people. This was often challenging, and I recall in one case he said that the best he could come up with was the defendant had good penmanship. Truth be told, I'm unable to come up with anything redeeming about Mr. Kohberger because his grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. His actions have made him the worst of the worst. Even
Shaking his head in agreement.
Is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption, nothing suggesting even a recognition or understanding, let alone regret for the pain that he has caused. And therefore, I will not attempt to speak about him further, other than to simply sentence him so that he is forever removed from civilized society. Accordingly, based upon his conduct and based upon the record before this court, recognizing the standards that govern this court's sentencing decisions as set forth in State v. Toohill, I hereby sentence Mr. Kohberger as follows. On count 1, burglary, 10 years fixed, 0 years indeterminate. I also impose a fine of $50,000. Count 2, first-degree murder of Madison Mogen. I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 3, for first-degree murder of Kaylee Goncalves, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the victim of the family, or to the family of the victim, pardon me. On count 4, for the first-degree murder of Xana Kernodle, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 5, for the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. The sentences on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 shall run consecutively to one another. Restitution will be left open for 60 days. Defendant will be required to submit a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression to the Department of Corrections and comply with the DNA Database Act. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility and execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies. Though you've waived your right to appeal, you do have a right to file a notice of appeal, and any such appeal must be filed within 42 days of the date of the written judgment, which will be entered shortly hereafter. Though the appeal, you should be aware, may be deemed a violation of the plea agreement, and so I certainly suggest you discuss that with counsel if that is your desire. I ask the media and public present to allow the families to be escorted out first before they leave. Again, thank you to everyone for your stories today. I am strengthened by them, and I am encouraged by your humanity and strength. God bless you. We're adjourned.
And that was it.
Looks like they come back. Oh, no, it's adjourned. It's just that. All right.
One thing real quick, can I say one thing? So, because this is kind of bothersome if it's real. So someone in chat said that the Papa Rogers thing, that Anjanette Levy, that I said that I was going to go check it after this, they said that she's friends with the person who is the who owns the Papa Rogers account. If that's the case, that's like, I don't know. Wouldn't that be a little bit messed up to like go on shows and act like you didn't know who Papa Roger was if it was your friend?
I agree.
I don't like
I would
that.
agree.
I don't love that.
Yeah, I agree.
Daniel, if you did something like that, Daniel, we'd be fighting. I would make you tell people though. Fake the Papa Rogers and had the entire world thinking like if you were a murderer, of course. I'm saying.
Got you. Well, you know,
you won't be a murderer, so it'll be good.
No, like I said, when it comes to Papa Rogers or Papa Roger, I was skeptical. You know, I was skeptical for the longest time. I kind of let my guard down a little bit, but I was skeptical that it was him.
Well, then if it wasn't him, then I'm sure that he's not an incel, in my opinion.
I don't know. I mean, I can't say that that's the case. I think that if it was him, he's definitely an incel. If it's not him, I don't think it closes the door on him being an incel.
So I still think he's a voluntary celibate. So I think he still shares a lot of the misogyny and the misogynistic mindset. So I do agree with that, but I don't think that he thinks he's an incel. Like, in other words, I think that if he knew that people thought he was an incel and not Ted Bundy, that would bother him. He wants to be Ted Bundy. He does not want to be Elliot Rodger. So I feel like in that sense, but I do see the similarities. I just don't know that he never had any girls that didn't like him. That's the only part that I struggle with. And this would have to be where he couldn't. I mean, I guess the girls that he liked didn't like him. So there you go. That's why I say voluntary.
The was there Miss Ko, the Asian female that ran to him. He asked her out, and she told him no. And then he got mad.
I thought it was reverse. I thought
Yes, there was a time where she ran to him in those things. But after that, I guess she started to figure things out. And he asked her to coffee, according to the book, the American Tragedy. I think it was, I don't remember which one, maybe the third chapter or the third part. They talked about her and how he moved some things around. And that she said that he had asked her to get some coffee and she told him no. And he got really, really pissed.
A good thing, because she probably wouldn't have came back from coffee if she would have went.
I agree. But even the one that kind of led him, like maybe he thought, all right, I have her, you know, worst case scenario type of thing. Like, you know, I have somebody to fall back on. When he tried to fall back on her, she said no.
Well, the one girl, she didn't say she said no. The one girl just said that like time happened, but that, remember the one
No, this is the Asian girl. She said no to him to the coffee.
I can't believe that. And thank God she did. I'm glad that I wish that somebody would have corrected that record a long time ago, because I feel like for a while people were really feeling bad for her because he like turned her down, what we all thought. So that actually makes
and then that may have been the situation where he was just not picking up the cues or the clues that she was interested. And by the time he did, he started getting creepy and started moving things around to see what her reaction would be. And
Or like you said, the first time she started to come, like she started to catch on because of the stuff with, didn't she say about the watch or something? And then as soon as she said something to him, like an hour later, the watch was back. And then same
it was
thing
the
with
key.
the same thing with the stuff in her house though, right? And like things, so it was suspected that that was him. So what if she, like you said, the first time started to catch on to him a little bit? What if he was like asking her out then, even if he wasn't going to do something to her? So let me walk that back a little bit because I don't know that to be true, but it could have been for manipulation purposes, thinking that he could get her to not think it's him type thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. But I just think that in the end, she started to realize that he's the one, because it was the key that went missing. And then when she brought it up to his attention, the key was there. And then the only things that were missing was, I think, a picture and something else. May have been the watch that she said that she was deeply, it was a letter that she was deeply, had a personal connection to. And those were the things that were missing shortly after she had told him about those things being so close to her. And so yeah, it's she probably saved her life, by turning him down.
Absolutely. And people are pointing it out, good point, that like, and I've said this before, that we called him at the beginning, this cell, oh my gosh, the voluntary celibate, because it was just the girls that he didn't want him. But I didn't know necessarily that all girls didn't want him. Didn't even the girl in the book, because I read that book like 4 times, didn't the one girl that he, that I was saying before, how he says that he has to get the needles for the aunt and all, didn't she say that she kind of was into him?
It said she liked him. Now, I don't know if that was like a romantic like, or if that was just liked him as a person.
It felt like she was liking him when you seen, like, when she was like, oh, I didn't think anything of it at the time. Like, I would have been like shady if we went and I dropped you, or I took you to a bar to run in real quick and then took you for needles. Like, I don't know.
And even
maybe
at that, I don't think he picks up on that stuff. Like, he doesn't pick up when somebody's interested. I don't think he sees it.
Oh, I think he sees it. I think he's just creepy. I think it's part of his I think it's part of a personality and not part of like not getting it. I think he's manipulative. I think he has a mask on. I think that because when he wants to manipulate people, he's actually quite good at it. Like, he manipulated his mom and dad in many ways over the years, his, and other people. Even if you look at like Dr. Ramsland, he manipulated her thought process to thinking that he was, if anything, one of the best students in the class, if not the top student. So he's quite clever at manipulating. Just because he wasn't able to manipulate in this situation doesn't mean that he hasn't been able to manipulate in the past. And I'm sure there were many times where he couldn't manipulate in the beginning, but I think over time he might have learned some of that behavior, because we see it later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he definitely is. I mean, the book talks about how he would, like, when he broke into his neighbor's house, who was friends with the one that passed away with an overdose, Jeremy Saba. He had gotten arrested, Jeremy, and he contacted Connie, his mom, and said, hey, I heard, are you going to go see him? Yeah. When are you going? All right. I just want to know so that I can go when you guys are done, or something of that nature.
That's a great example.
So he knew that when they were going to leave, and he went and stole all their stuff.
And like she said, when she came back, she thought it like, oh, wait, that was probably him. And then she decides not to call 911, but she doesn't think that right away. Like, so it doesn't occur to her while she's on the phone with him that she says in the book that she really was like, why didn't he come? Like, I thought he was coming. So like he was able to manipulate her in that sense to think that he was really going to go there. And then he winds up going and taking the thing. And we know that it's true, because he goes back and does he ever really say I'm sorry for it? Or I think she says like he just stands in like the kitchen and he's creepy, and she says to him, I know why you're here.
She says she thinks about it. She's like, I know why you're here. And he says that he's there to atone. It's part of rehab.
I wonder if he ever says like, I'm sorry though. I don't know that he ever says like, I'm really sorry for doing that. So like, in other words, was it part of the steps? So again, like he's very robotic and mechanical. Like, I have 12 steps. This is part of the steps. I have to atone one step, whatever. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think that's exactly what he's doing. And he's just following the process. I don't think he really cared.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, guys, tomorrow night I'm going to be back on. I'm going to be talking about some of these documents that have been released. I'm going to go through them tomorrow and just kind of highlight some things. I know there's some stuff that's already been floating around. I think Xana was stabbed over 50 times, Kaylee over 34 times, unrecognizable from the damage that was done to her face. They talk about, you know, the moment that the officers arrive, what they see. Xana was wearing a sweatshirt and panties, apparently. Ethan was, his head was facing towards the wall. It was Ethan's blood that was coming down the back of the house. And it talks about that there was blood coming from the rear of Ethan's legs and the behind his legs. And so that's about as far as I've gotten so far. It's very graphic. So viewer discretion for that one tomorrow. We're going to talk about it. I do have Alina Smith is going to be back on probably a little bit later on this week, kind of talk about her experience in the courtroom. She was out there again. So we're going to have her back on the channel. And we have some FOIAs that have already gone out to get some more information on some stuff. So like, comment, subscribe, because we're going to have all that stuff coming. Dr. Vona, what do you have going on this week? Anything you want to plug in that you have that you're going to be covering?
Let me be honest. I don't even know, you guys. I've been working really hard, so I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, I don't know. That's a great answer, is that I just don't know. I'd be lying if I said I did, but I will let people know when I figure it out. But I do ask people, please go subscribe. I'm like stuck at like a plateau here. And I don't know if people realize how hard it is to do this. So I don't ask for anything. Just go subscribe. It's free, right?
Yeah, go subscribe. Let her know that the DT show sent you. It is the Minds with Dr. Vona.
The Minds Behind True Crime, but it's on my name, and I think Mark put it in the chat. It's there.
He did. Yes, and thank you all for sticking with us for 3.5 hours. Dr. Vona, I thank you so much for doing this twice.
Oh, you're good.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. If you remember, send me the link at some point tomorrow or the next day.
Yes, I will. I will take care of that and get that forward to you.
Thank you
all righty,
all.
guys. Thank you all. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.